everybody. My name is Jill Whitlow. I'm from Night of the Creeps, Weird Science, the TV show Freddy's Nightmares, and a bunch of others. Anyway, I will see you at the Tampa Morgue this following week. I can't wait.
Cooper, too close for comfort.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Saturday, February 8th, the Bay Care Sound. The Shock Rocker returns.
Welcome to my nightmare, 'cause I'm dead.
Buy tickets at thebaycaresound.com. A Ruth Eckerd Hall experience. Alice Cooper, live.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue Season 2, Episode number 73. And as always, I am joined by my co-host in a studio somewhere in deep Tampa Bay, Florida, Mr. Ed Webb. How is everything in the tropics, dude?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on, brother? Everything's good here. It's cold. Chilly.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence, isn't it?
Not really. Last year it was pretty cold for a good chunk of the year. I like it. I don't like the hot, so I'm okay with it.
Love it here.
Not that cold, bro.
Not that cold. It's pretty cool too. Has anybody heard the opening of the show? Alice Cooper ticket giveaway. I mean, I could totally stand behind that. Ed will be there.
100%. I will be at this show for sure.
Yeah. So
I was going to buy tickets actually, because we went and saw.
You don't have to.
I got tickets for Willie Nelson for my wife at the it's like a little mini amphitheater.
Is that the Bay Care Sound? Is that happening at the same place?
It is. Because like King's X and I think I think King's X and Slash might have been, or Slash might have played the Bay Care, but I know King's X and another show we were giving away was in the Billheimer Theater, but this one's in the actual outdoor. It's kind of like a mini amphitheater like we have in Tampa. It's pretty cool.
And that is the
Very,
Bay Care Sound in Florida,
yep.
Clearwater. I was kind of bummed that I would have loved to have gone to the show, but I'm not going to be in town. But that benefits our listeners because you can get a free pair of tickets from us. And that is February 8th at Bay Care Sound in Clearwater. Alice Cooper. I've seen Alice Cooper over 20 times, and it's always a killer show. So, I mean, like I said, definitely, if you can win those tickets, you go over to our Instagram, and that's the best place to get them.
I will
But if
tell
you
you,
haven't
if
seen
you
Alice
haven't,
Cooper, got to see him.
and if you haven't been to that venue, I will tell you that unlike the amphitheater when you're sitting on the lawn and everybody looks like little miniature figures on the stage, there's not a bad seat in the house because it's everything. You can see the full stage. It's really awesome. So definitely enter to win because if you haven't seen Alice Cooper, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you should.
Yeah, amazing show. I mean, Strauss is back with him too. You know, I know she was gone for a little bit. She's back on the guitar, but yeah, I've never seen a bad Alice Cooper show. So yeah, if you want to win tickets, go over to the Instagram. That show will be taking place February 8th. And we have so tonight we have a pretty damn full show. So, we're going to get to some music stuff in the beginning. And so we have a guest coming on tonight. We actually have two guests coming on tonight. We have first, I believe, Andy Lalino will be on from Tampa Bay Screams. And we'll talk all about that with him, the event that's coming up, I believe, next weekend, actually, over in Clearwater, Florida. So we'll get together with Andy, talk about that event. And then we're going to have a great guest tonight that, me and Ed, we grew up watching her films as many young people did in the 80s. We have Jill Whitlow coming on tonight. And Jill she was in, let me see here. I mean, the list goes, you got, first of all, Porky's, right? 81, which she played Mindy in that, which Porky's, I still say, is still a great movie if you haven't seen it. She was in TJ Hooker. She was in Gimme a Break. You remember that show in the 80s?
Oh yeah,
Mask, Silver Spoons, Mask in 85. Not the Mask with Jim Carrey, though. The Mask with Cher. She was in that in 85. Weird Science in 1985. Thunder Run in 85. Night of the Creeps in 86, which, I mean, Night of the Creeps has really become an underground classic, and it's a great movie.
Absolutely.
And I love 80 films. So, for me, it's very exciting to have her on as we try to always incorporate these older films onto the show too, along with the bands and stuff. She was in Ghost Chase in 87. She was in Twice Dead in 88, Freddy's Nightmares, which was a series. In 88, she was in that. Swamp Thing in 92, that series. So we'll have Jill come on. She's gonna come hang out with us tonight. We're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff with her. She's actually a Florida resident too. I mean, she will be at Tampa Bay Screams also. That's coming up. So we'll talk about all that stuff with her. But Ed, we all remember Jill, right? I mean, first of all, Night of the Creeps, you had Jason Lively from obviously National Lampoon's European Vacation. Before that, he played Rusty Griswold.
Rusty.
Rusty. So we had, so you have that. You have Tom Atkins was in that movie. Who Tom Atkins was obviously in Lethal Weapon. I mean, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So I'm really excited to talk to her tonight. So she'll be on probably in about, I don't know, maybe like 40 minutes. We got some stuff we're going to talk about first. Before that, we'll have Andy come on before that. Ed, we opened up the show with Savatage, By the Grace of the Witch from the Dungeons Are Calling EP. It came out on Combat Records. And I know, both of us Savatage fans, a great
Big
song. I mean, we were talking about last weekend that there is some Savatage stuff going on as we speak. And you go to Savatage, that lineup was John Oliva, Chris Oliva. Obviously, Chris passed away in 93. We talked about that on the last episode.
Yep.
Steve on drums, and Keith Collins on bass. Now, you remember Keith, right?
Keith Collins Crunch.
Yeah, Keith Collins Crunch. He obviously Avatar before it was Savatage. Jack Starr's Burning Star was another one he was in. Solar. and Keith also did. So and Dagger, he also did producing and for a band. You remember actually, you know this band, and I wanted to ask you about this. So he did work with on the producer side with Oblivion, Messiah, and Degradation, right?
Yeah,
And you were familiar with Degradation.
Dana,
My buddy
Dana
Todd
Walsh,
Dowdy played with them on drums for a period of time in the '90s. But what are your members of Degradation?
Dana Walsh. I've known Dana for many, 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 many years. He actually recorded the Contorted record, The Edge of Darkness, and the demo. We did it at his studio over there in, I guess
In
that would be
Pinellas, right? We used to
Pinellas. Yeah,
rehearse right in that same complex. This band,
yeah.
Unspeakable Acts,
Just a
that I played
little,
with.
just a little people storage kind of place, and it was awesome. I've known, like I said, I've known Dana. Dana was also, I came into Brutality when he left, in the In Morning, because he did the In Morning record with Brutality, and then he left, and then I wound up coming in and joining Pete and the guys, So yeah, I've known Dana a long time. And Degradation, they would play all those metal shows that we always talked about, the
The
Tampa
metal
Bay
awards and stuff. Yeah.
wards. Yep. They were always on those shows. Dana and Keith Collins were always entrenched in that stuff. Keith Collins is one of the guys who helped put on a lot of those award shows.
Yeah.
So,
And if you
he's
go
been
back and look at the
around.
old footage, there's a lot of Keith Collins in the old metal awards footage from Tampa.
Yeah, well, he was also doing a lot of the announcing in between the bands. He was
Yeah.
the one that came out and did the awards. He was the one that came out and did the prize stuff for people. Yeah, he's been around a long time. And it's crazy because Savatage, I don't know, it's one of those bands that I saw him open for Iron Maiden in the early days. And, you know, you're thinking you open for Maiden, it's hard to, you know what I mean? I mean, you're not blowing Maiden off the stage, but I will tell you, Savatage gave them a run for their money that night because that was Hall of the Mountain King days. So, you're playing the first two records. That's not Gutter Ballet. That's the first two records, if I
I
remember
was a
right. And
huge fan of Sirens. I used to have the cassettes. Actually, I'll
yeah,
never forget when I was going to school. I used to carry the Sirens and the Dungeons Are Calling EP on cassette because Combat had them on tape. And just I put them on now, and they're still killer. I mean, John. I mean,
timeless.
shit. The last time I saw John was actually Ed. You were probably it was at Circle Studios where we rehearsed at. He was sitting in the office with Joe Diaz, who owns Circle Studios.
Yep.
Whoever lives in that area has rehearsed at Circle Studios, I'm sure, because everyone has rehearsed there. But John was there. It was, and I haven't seen him in a couple of years. But like we said, the last episode, I heard that there is some Savatage stuff going on, and John has his hand in it, of course. John's voice is just. I mean, I always thought he had one of the best voices.
I agree
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So
Him and Ronnie, because they both had that falsetto kind of thing going on, and they were both Florida centric. So it was definitely, it was unique because, to have two guys singing, not similar, but you know what I mean? High pitch like that coming from the same area and metal bands was killer back then because we didn't have to look far for cool shit.
yeah, and Savatage is timeless. Like I said, you could pop in Sirens or Gutter Ballet, any of that stuff. You could pop it in and Hall of the Mountain King, and it's still just awesome. But yeah, I wanted to mention Degradation to you because I know you had, we've talked about that before, that band. And like I said, Todd Dowdy played drums with them for a while.
Yep.
Todd passed away years ago, but I know I think he was on the 94 album with them. But, Dana Walsh, like you said, his studio, I don't know if he still has that or not, but I know he started doing a band called Money Shot after a while.
Yes.
But yeah, we used to rehearse when I was with this band called Unspeakable Acts back in, God, it was fucking long time ago. We used to rehearse right next to them. And I'll never forget with this band Unspeakable Acts, we would really play a lot of shows in front of nobody back then. And just never forget our guitar player had us carrying huge stage props like boomers. We played boomers and shit like this, over in Seminole, I guess you would call that. We would play shows over there and just carrying these huge stage props and playing for the bartender. That's what I remember. That was one of my first bands in Florida, and I will never forget it. But so Ed, what was your first band in Florida?
My first band was with, oddly enough, with Dave Sawyer. We never had a name. I was actually talking about this the other day. Every time we came up with a name, the dudes in Eulogy would come over and say, "Name's taken. That name's taken." So we called ourselves. We're talking 1992, 93. We called ourselves Disgorge. Before there was a Disgorge, I know there was. I know there was one, I guess, in Europe, but then there's one in America now. But Jason, one eye from Eulogy and Monstrosity, he came over. He's like, "Dude, name's taken. He goes, the definition of disgorge is to like throw up, like not eat." He goes, "So I'm just going to call you Uneat." So we were Uneat. That was the name of our band for a long time, was Uneat.
There's some
And
trivia.
it was the running joke that we were Uneat. But yeah, that was my first real band, like with a drummer, 2 guitar players. We had Mike Hazelrig, who in Tampa people know him as Goat Fan. So yeah, we wrote some killer shit, and some of that stuff wound up being implemented into Eulogy later on. So fun fact. But yeah, that was my first real band. And of course, you know the stories. We practiced right next to Disincarnate, right across from Eulogy, down from Morbid Angel and Acheron. So yeah, we were in the prime time, and we did not carry props in to play shows because we never played a show. So there's that.
That solves that problem.
Yeah.
Like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, and we definitely want, we're gonna. I mean, anybody who listens to us, usually we do have a lot of bands on here, and that's pretty much the majority of our guests. A lot of bands. We do try to bring the film in here. We have done that recently. So tonight we're going to be, like I said, we're going to have Andy from Tampa Screams and Jill Whitlow come on tonight. We're going to talk to Jill for a while. So, Jill's going to hang out for a while. And so we'll do the music stuff first. And I'm going to give you the upcoming guests and an update on one of the guests, just so you know. So we're supposed to have KO from Rotten Sound, Age of Woe, Goat Burner on next week. I talked to KO this morning. We're actually going to have him on in February after their tour. We were looking at, he was going to come on the same day that they were leaving for the tour. And we just figured, hey, it's probably better if we do this like when you get back. And Ed knows when you're leaving for tour, it's a busy fucking day. So we'll have KO from Rotten Sound next month on. We'll tell you way before that gets, when we have the date and stuff. And what else do we have? Oh, we have Knox Colby coming on from Enforced. He was supposed to be on last month. There was some little issues with scheduling. He will be on the 26th. So I talked to him yesterday, and that's all set. And so, Ed, I do want, if anybody who wants to meet Ed, I'll start out with this stuff first, I guess, here.
Wait.
So give me 1 second here. We're going to announce some releases. We're going to announce some upcoming events, some news, and then we're going to get to Andy. So, Ed, you're going to be at this event. So I'm going to announce this. Tampa Bay Museum of Metal presents the Florida Metal Exhibition, Saturday, January 25th and 26th. Guest appearances by, and now I'm going to alter this guest list because now that you're involved, I can alter it a little bit. You got Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Nasty Savage, Monstrosity, Death, Denial Fiend, members past and present from these bands, okay? Jana Torturers, John Oliva's Pain, Brutality, Malevolent, Creation, and now I'm going to say Generic Christ because Ed will be there, right, Ed?
Yeah. Dave called me the other day, and he wants me to
serve drinks. Ed will be the one in the waiter outfit.
I will be the one in the cocktail, dress minus the dress. It'll just be the apron backwards. But no, he because he's been talking to a lot of guys like Paul from Resurrection, some of the guys. He just wants some unique stuff to put in the museum. Like he wants one of my old microphones, and I'm having a really hard time finding the fucker. So, it was beat up, dude. I put it somewhere. Who knows? I bought new shit because, remember when we talked years ago? I was like, we got to get new mics, bro, and we did.
Yeah,
we all got new mics, and then I even got a newer mic. So yeah, he had talked to me, and he's like, he's running around. Let me tell you, this thing is going to be. It's either going to be the greatest thing on the fucking planet, or I hope people show up because I hope they understand what he's trying to do. Because he was very, he explained it very well that there is so much history in Tampa from all walks of metal, not just death metal. You talk Savatage, we're talking Rock's Gang, I mean, we're talking, you know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
talking like bands that span from hair metal to the most gnarliest shit that Tampa could create. And how many people today that you talk to, like, think these, and I say millennials not disrespectfully, but I say it because most millennials don't look back in time. They just see what's in front of them now, the new crap that's coming out. And they don't understand the bands that made whatever's today possible. You know what I mean? All of the bands. I mean, I don't care who it is.
That's what I'm kind of interested in, is like the Tampa Bay Museum of Metal. Now we've been around for a long time in the scene, also just in general, just from being at shows to following the bands. I'm really interested to see what bands get. Of course you're going to get the deaths and the obituaries, and you're going to get all that, right? The malevolent creations, the monstrosities. You have to, because that is Nasty Savage. I mean, first of all, Nasty Savage kind of has to be at the
Forefront.
the forefront, yeah, as like waving the flag. But I am interested to see what other, it's been a long history in Tampa, of a lot of bands, and it's going to be kind of, I'm curious, and it's going to be taking place at what? So I know it's a brewing place. I don't know that. So I know it's 6809 North Nebraska Ave, Tampa, Florida. Do you know the name of the Magnomius Brewing? Am I
I
saying
believe
that?
that's correct. I think that's correct. Yeah, it's like they're going to have an actual like a Tampa Bay. If I understood him right, they're going to have a actual special beer for like worked around the museum. So kind of like obituary beer. You know what I mean? If Deicide came out with a beer, it's going to be a beer, and people can come in and taste it. And the object is, it's like a convention, kind of like Scream Fest. You go in, you go meet the people, you check out all the cool shit, get
Or
some
Tampa Bay
beer.
or Tampa Bay Screams, as we'll say tonight.
Yes, Tampa Bay Screams. So you walk around, you check it out, you move along. That's it. It's supposed to be like a dolly museum. You know what I mean? You just go in and you see the history of Tampa metal. That's what I mean in a nutshell. That's really what it is. And there'll be people. I talked to Lee Harrison. He's going to be there. So there's going to be, and from what Dave told me, he mentioned some names. So there will be who's who there. So you will see. It'll be like Brass Mug 2.0 minus the music. And, it's going to be cool. I think it
It's
will
a
be
cool
cool.
event,
I think it will be. I don't know. He's been. I mean, we've been talking.
He's been
to him.
talking about we've talked to him about it for like the last 2 years, right? We knew it was going
Dude,
to
I
happen sometime.
remember
So
he was telling me about this when we were going to King Diamond together in that 2019. So
I think I saw that Digger's bringing the Aces record sign that hangs out the mug to the event. Because I was reading something where they actually went and pulled it off. Like Digger bought a ladder. Digger Leathers, whoever knows Digger, he has toured with a bunch of bands. Is driving and just and I heard that he had like actually gotten that sign off of Aces before they knocked down the building, bought a ladder and pulled it off. And anybody who's been to the Brass Mug, you can see that sign hanging up there. And I believe that'll be at the Museum of Metal too. So it's a cool event. So I definitely wanted to mention that, and Ed's going to be there. So we'll have another show before that. So we'll mention it again. And Ed, there's a couple other things going on. I'm only going to mention a few shows that are going on. So since we're going to be on next week too, we can cover some of this then. But Monday, January 13th, which is like tomorrow night, basically, 6 Feet Under, Nile, Psychroptic, an Embryonic Autopsy. That's the Orpheum. Let me
yes,
see here. Thursday, January 31st, Venom Inc., Salem's Child, Narcotic Wasteland at Banyan Live in West Palm Beach. Doors at 6:30 for that. Let me see if I had anything else for show-wise. I don't think I had anything else for show-wise, or if I do, I'll throw it in. But I'll mention a few things I saw, like news things. You probably might have saw these too. Just a few things. Like I said, I saw that Hyrax will be releasing a new record, their 6th record, Faster Than Death, on our Armageddon and Dementia records. Let me see here. The date I see for that is actually February 21st. I'm surprised I look at Hyrax and I'm surprised it's only their 6th full length.
I know. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. So that'll have 9 tracks on it. And it's basically coming at the same time as the band's 40-year anniversary. And I saw the lineup, and it's Caton, Jose Gonzalez, Emilio Marquez on drums, and Alan Chan on guitars. And they're all 2024 guys. So I know that they put out a 7-inch in 2024 called Faster Than Death also. And that was like a whole different lineup. That was Danny Walker on drums, and Neil Metcalf on guitar. So I guess that's a whole new lineup on that. But that's coming out. He's doing a new record, Caton with Hyrax. So that'll be out in February. And Ed, I know you saw this too. Frederick Lindgren passed away from Unleashed.
Yep.
He passed away on January 5th. He was only 53 years old. He was
Wow.
on some great records too. Where No Life Dwells from
Yep.
91. Shadows in the Deep, 92, Across the Open Sea in 93, and then Victory in 95. Also played in a bunch of other bands, Atlantic Tide, Born of Fire, Celestial Pain, Harm's Way, and a few more.
Unleashed
So I
had
saw
a
he
very
passed away.
great, unique sound, man. Them and Grave definitely had their own sound. They didn't sound like that entombed kind of Dismember. They had their own kind of Swedish sound.
I love Unleashed, yeah, and especially Where No Life Dwells. I mean, that's
That was
fucking
such a
great.
and they were on the cruise. I got to see them on the cruise this year. They were on there and they were great.
I saw them with Destroyer 666 here probably 2 years ago at
Yeah, they were great.
the Winter Wolves over in Vilnius, Lithuania. Speaking of Destroyer 666, they announced they'll be playing Hellhammer Metal Fest in August. It's their first time in Serbia. A couple other bands I saw. There's only a few bands I saw announced. Bombarder out of Serbia, Tortured Corpse out of Poland, Omar Amers Arrows out of Serbia, and Prong. You've talked about Prong before. Prong announced they will do a summer European tour in celebration of the Cleansing Records. It's 31st anniversary. They're doing 15 dates in July and August. Starts in Hamburg, Germany on July 30th. They'll also play Switzerland, Belgium, Netherlands, and Czech. And you're a Prong guy, right?
Yeah, I liked old school Prong, man. The first 3 records were great. But the last record they put out, I was very surprised because it was pretty heavy. And they've been doing this shit forever, man. So, but Force Fed was a great record, man. I mean, it just I don't know. It was they were different back then. So yeah, definitely
Yeah,
a
they were
Prong
definitely
guy.
different. And let me see here. We have a few minutes before we get Andy on. So, Ed, I guess I'll announce the releases and then we
Yeah.
can play the promo for Tampa Bay Screams. And we'll play a song and then we'll get Andy set up. And then right after him, we'll pretty much get Jill set up on here. We'll have Jill Whitlow coming on. Like I said, anybody who's a fan of the 80s horror movies, A Night of the Creeps or Porky's, not a horror movie, but just a killer 80s movie. Jill will come on and hang out. And Jill's really cool. So we're going to, I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about with her. And so, Ed, I'm going to roll. I don't know what releases you have. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
The only one I have that's anything recent that I saw, and I actually like these guys, and another band that was on the 70,000 Tons, the Halo Effect. I don't know if you've ever checked
I
those
saw
dudes
they
out.
have a, yeah, I didn't, I did
March
see
of
they have
the
a record.
Unheard, but yeah, they're basically I'm pretty sure every one of those guys were in Flames at one point. And but I saw them live and I liked their last record. And usually when you see a band, and a lot of times when they have a lot of that real harmony driven, like in Flames, it doesn't transpose well live sometimes. And because I can tell you, I saw a couple bands on the cruise that I love that I was very disappointed in the sound, but they fucking crushed. And I was like, wow, there was only a few bands that came out and absolutely sounded heavier than the record. Them, Flesh God Apocalypse was the other one.
Yeah, they were
They,
killer live. I
they're
had never seen
fucking
them before. I have to admit,
massive.
on that cruise they were great.
I hope that bass player hears this because I know he was the original guitar player, but I want to know how the fuck do you play bass with gloves? You got to tell me how you do that. I mean, I got to
And,
know.
and speaking of basses here, Ed, I have to say right before I roll these releases out that I have, you just got you're a happy man today. We spoke about that. You just got your one of your babies
Yeah,
back.
yeah, man. My original OG godlike generic Christ bass, man. I was thinking after I told you about it, I think the last show I played that bass was at the Orpheum 2015.
Was that the
Or
DTA show?
No. I think the last show I actually played it was at that Metal Fest in Tampa,
the Cuban Club.
The Cuban Club. Yep. Because something happened with it. It got out of tune. And I just, nothing I could do would get it to stay in tune, and I could not play it anymore for like 8
And that,
years.
I have to say, was an amazing show. That was with Malevolent Creation. The last time I saw Brett, they were a killer. That was with John Oliva. Speaking of John Oliva, he did some stuff with Obituary that night. Madball, Trouble with Kyle Thomas on vocals from X Order, and Floodgate, and
Deicide played. Atheist.
Corrosion of Conformity.
Yeah, it was fantastic
killer,
man.
That was a blast. So yeah, but yeah, you got your bass back again. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. He, I picked him up Friday night, and Bob Sheeks, Bob, him and Rhonda, old friends. I mean, I've known Bob going over 30 years. It has to be over 30 years, man. And he told me he could fix them. I dropped actually 2 basses and a guitar off, and my shit plays better than it. I mean, he fixed it. I don't know how he did it, but when I went in and he plugged it in and said, try it out, I was absolutely I almost cried. And, so definitely want to give Bob a shout out, man. Guitar Repair of Tampa Bay. If you need your shit fixed, I know Lee actually, I didn't know Bob worked there until I looked, because Jerry Mortallero used to work there. A lot of dudes used to work there, but Lee takes his stuff there. A lot of people I know do. But yeah, he fixed my shit. So definitely Guitar Repair of Tampa Bay, 7705 Ann Ballard Road, right off Benjamin. If you're in Tampa, you know where it is. He's the shit. He fixed it. Nobody else could fix it. So there's that.
There you go.
Thank you, Bob.
So there you go. Thank you, Bob. And here, I'm going to roll through these releases, and then we'll get Andy set up from Tampa Bay Screams, and then we'll roll into Jill Whitlow after that. So let me do what I do and see if I can spit this out without fucking it up. Hazard out of Calgary, a thrash metal band. They have a record coming out called The Third Dimension. Ed's laughing already. I could see him because he knows I'm going to screw up some of these titles, because some of these titles I get. But this one's not bad. This is Third Dimension. M Theory Audio out of Las Vegas is the label. Band formed in 2013. This is Hazard's third full length. Comes out on January 17th. Disrupted out of Sweden. Horror death metal band. Stinking Death is the name of their record. Follow-up to the band's 2020 full-length Pure Death, featuring members of Defaced Creation, Mother of God, and Cantonia. Alien Carcass out of Australia, black death metal band. Gravation Waves Pass Through the Other Worlds is the name of the EP. It's 7 tracks. That comes out January 11th, 2025. Goat Lord Corp. France, black metal band, Temple of Serpent Whores. Label is Nomad Snake Pit Productions out of the Netherlands. They've put out 2 EPs in the past. The band's first full length has 8 tracks. That comes out January 19th. And Crimson Storm out of Italy, which is a power speed metal band. Title Living on the Bad Side. Label Fighter Records out of Spain. Crimson Storm formed in 2009. They put out a video for the record, Abuse of Power. They put out an EP, Motor City Maniac, in 2014, and a demo titled Outrageous in 2020. This is the band's first full length, and that's January 14th. Gravedigger, and they've been around forever, Gravedigger, out of Germany. Bone Collector is the name of their new record. RPM Roar out of Greece is the label. It's 11 tracks. They put out 22 full lengths. They formed in 1980. First demo came out in 82. This one comes out January 17th. Pestilence Scars out of Finland, melodic death metal band. Name of the record is Meadows of Misfortune. It's their debut full length. Inverse Records out of Finland, 10 tracks featuring 3 former members of the band Captured. That comes out January 17th. Coffin Feeder out of Chicago, Dominion of Torment is the name of the EP. Label Sewer Rat Records out of LA. Put out the Demonstration of Torment demo in 2023. That comes out in January 17th. Just a couple more here. Destabilizer out of Denmark, thrash metal band Monopoly of Violence. Comes out, name of the record, Island Shield Records out of Berlin, formed in 2020. Put out a couple EPs prior. Put out, this is the follow-up to Violence is the Answer that came out in 2023. That's January 17th. Putrid out of Transylvania. And this album title, I'm not even, am I going to attempt this? I don't know. Maglet Al Putra. Yeah. So let's just say that they have a new album coming out on Memento Mori. Band formed in 2020. It's the band's second full length. The band, again, is called Putrid out of Transylvania. That comes out January 20th. Just two more here. Haterizer out of Japan, thrash metal crossover band. Bloodlust, Sodomy, Death is the name of the record. Label Captured Records out of Japan, 10 tracks. They put out a 4-song demo in 2022. Formed in 2008 as Hater and changed their name in 2022. And Behexen, black metal band from Finland. They put out a compilation called Beyond the Four Gates on Werewolf Records. It's a compilation of demos from Behexen, and they used to be called Lord of the Left Hand, Lords of the Left Hand. That was the name of the band from 94 to 96. It's 2 discs, 20 tracks. Behexen. And yeah, I got it all out, Ed. I got it all out. And I got to say, we have to mention really fast the fires in Los Angeles, man. I just cannot believe, I actually just can't even understand, like, just seeing what's going on there is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, man. And a lot of the stuff surrounding, people canceling their insurance, before this, and money that was canceled from the budget, empty freaking reserves. I mean, there's some weird
right
stuff
next
going
to the
on, man.
ocean.
I know, dude. It sucks, man. It sucks, but hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel, man. Because
Our thoughts are with everybody, because that's pretty intense, man.
I couldn't imagine losing everything.
No, I mean, even when you look, you see the satellite pictures, right? You see the pictures; it's just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, the before and afters are. It almost looks fake. You know what I mean? It almost looks fucking like there's no way that's the same. But I remember the before and after pictures of North Carolina after Milton.
Oh yeah,
or no, Helene. It was
Helene. Insane.
And people are like, that's not even the same place. And you can clearly see the mountain in the background where the whole town, it was a small little town in the middle of nowhere, was wiped out. And, it's brutal.
But everybody, our definitely, you can't not think about it. It's just, you see it everywhere now. And definitely everybody, our thoughts are with everybody that's involved. I mean, it's like I said, it's just insane. I don't even know what to say about it. It seems like every time we come on the show, there's a new insane thing happening. It's like,
it seems that
if you go back and listen to the past episodes, there's always something fucking insane going on.
Ed's Electric going out during a fucking Instagram live, which we do.
Or a hurricane.
Yeah. That was brutal.
Me thinking that I survived the hurricane money-wise, realizing that I have to pay all these fucking assessments for my condominium in St. Pete for everybody else. That's a nightmare too, but we won't even get into that. So yeah, we have a bunch of stuff going on tonight. So we have Andy coming on from Tampa Bay Screams here in a few minutes. I do want to play this trailer, Ed, because, like I said, I'm a big Night of the Creeps fan. I'm really excited to have Jill Whitlow come on tonight. I know you are too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I'm going to play this, for those who weren't around in the 80s, even the trailers were cool back then. It was a whole different time period, a whole different, world. I don't even, to be honest, man, like you have to go to YouTube and watch trailers now, right? I don't really see them on too much on the TV anymore, but
no,
you have 5,000 different channels or 5,000 different platforms you have to subscribe to watch certain shows or documentaries. It's like insane. So, but we're going to play one of the promos from the movie Night of the Creeps from the 80s. Here, let me see here. We'll try this now. Hopefully this doesn't backfire, because whenever we try to do this, you never know what's going to happen here. But this is one of the this is what you would hear back in the day on the TV watching, when you would see these promos for the movies. And this is for Night of the Creeps.
The night of the fall is finally here for Chris, Cindy, and JC. It's going to be the best night of their lives. But tonight is also the night of the creeps. From a world unknown comes a nightmare unimagined. First, they are under you, around you, on you, and then inside you.
They get in through your mouth,
And you walk around while they incubate, even if you're dead.
They are a new breed of terror.
Freeze!
They are a different kind of horror.
Zombies, exploding heads, creepy crawlies. We could have a little problem.
The creeps are taking over.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
You have never had a night like this. Night of the creeps. If you scream, you're dead.
I'm telling you, that Tom line in that might be one of the coolest lines in that whole movie. They're dead.
I
so
mean,
yeah, so we're gonna get. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So cheesy. It was so cheesy back then. You know, when you
awesome.
look back, when you look now, you know, like my son's all like, that shit's so cheesy. I'm like, but it wasn't. You were born into this CGI fucking era. We weren't.
This is pre-CGI. There was no CGI during Night of the Creeps.
No, it was real deal shit, man. I love it.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to talk to Jill about all that. We'll go through that movie and a bunch of other stuff with her. We're going to get Andy set up from Tampa Bay Screams here in a minute. We're going to play the promo for Tampa Bay Screams, and then we're going to go right into a song, and then Andy will be with us. We're going to play the promo for Tampa Screams, and then we're going to play, this is an Ed pick right here, Malevolent Creation, Premature Burial from the 10 Commandments record, 91. And Ed, that was what? That was Mark Simpson on drums, right? Brett Hoffman on vocals.
Yep.
Phil on guitar. Jay
Correct.
Black on bass.
Correct.
And then Jeff on guitar. Am I correct there?
I think you're right. I don't know.
Oh,
there's
that
been so
more
many
sound.
people. Oh yeah, definitely more sound. But yeah, that's because you asked me, you know, for a song, and there were two. I gave you two that I couldn't pick between the two, and just
that's
on
a
that
great
record,
one. Great
on
record.
that record. You know, that and the song Malevolent Creation itself. I just, when he does those screams in that song, Brett was one of a kind. I mean, hard to duplicate.
Amazing. Yeah.
Hard to duplicate, kind of like John from Obituary, you know what I mean? Yep. It's some guys have a voice that's really difficult. I mean, even Lemmy would be kind of considered, you know, trying to get that Lemmy voice. You could try, but there's just something to those original pipes that it's not easy to emulate. And Brett was one of the. He's an icon, man. You know,
passed away in 2018. You know, like Ed said,
I remember where I was, man. I was driving, waiting to do a job, and I saw it come across. I got a message that, man, Brett just passed, and I was like, holy shit. I was like thinking, man, like they were just talking about a record, and I know him and Rob were doing that, where they were doing that kind of improv jam at the Mug, you know, where Damian Gordon, all those dudes would come up. They would do Maiden and all Andy Adcock. They would come up and just jam at the Mug for hours, just doing improv. And Brett would go up there and sing. Yeah, it was killer, man. Sucks.
Yeah, I got a text actually from Dovitus that morning. Dovitus, who from Crypts of Despair, and Luctus, who we had on this show months ago, from the Lithuanian bands. He actually texted me and was like, "Hey, did you hear?" And I didn't hear yet. And then I checked, and unfortunately, the news was true.
Yep. So Premature Burial, man. Run that shit, because that's a great fucking song.
We're going to play that. First, like I said, we're going to play some Tampa Bay Screams promo, then Malevolent Creation, Premature Burial from the 10 Commandments record from 91, and then we'll be back with Andy from Tampa Bay Screams. We'll see you on the Tampa Morgue after this. And that was Malevolent in Creation with Premature Burial off the 91 record, The 10 Commandments. And we are joined by Andy Lalino, who has actually been on the show before, back June 2024. Andy, welcome back, man.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it very much.
Our
No,
pleasure.
we appreciate you coming on. And those who don't know Andy, we did a whole, if you go back to the June 2024 episode, we talk a little bit about his history. You know, Andy was with, worked with the Tampa Bay Picture Show till it went under, I think, 2016, right, Andy? Andy was part of the Uh-Oh show with Herschel Gordon Lewis, the Godfather of Gore. Now, so Andy, this convention, so we're talking about Tampa Bay Screams right now, which is going to be happening in Clearwater coming up next weekend. So was this the 10th year, but this is your second year, right, as the owner and organizer?
That is correct. I took the convention over from previous owner Sean Donahue I think we bought it in 2023, and then we did our first convention in June of 2024. That was on the 28th and 29th.
Okay. Yeah, and those who also don't know, Andy moved from New York here at like the age of 4, right, in 71. So he's been in Florida for a long time. He was a creature feature watcher as a kid, right? Dr. Paul Bearer was the one that got you introduced, if I'm correct.
Tony and Ed, if I remember correctly, I saw the very first episode of Creature Feature in 73 when they aired it at 2 p.m., like in that afternoon time slot.
Yeah, Dr. Paul Bearer, we talk about him often on the show.
Tony
Obviously Dick Bennett. He was obviously a big staple in St. Pete. He was on, our stations for many years, WTOG for 22 years. So we always pay respect to Dr. Paul Bearer. But yeah, man, so let us know. So like I said, we have Jill Whitlow coming on tonight too, who will be at your convention from Night of the Creeps, Porky's, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, so basically, give us the rundown of what guests you have coming on this year to your convention.
Yeah, we've got a great guest list coming up. We have Alan Howarth, who was interviewed on the Tampa Morgue very recently. He was a guest, and that was a great interview. And I learned a lot about Alan that I didn't know through your interview. And
awesome.
So we are very much looking forward. And as a special treat for it, it is an extra charge, but he is performing at 8 p.m. on the night of the convention. After the convention concludes, if fans want to stick around, if they have a ticket, they can watch Alan perform at 8 p.m. And he's going to be performing all of his best of horror themes from, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, 4 through 6, They Live, Escape from New York, Christine, The Thing, just Big Trouble in Little China, which you guys were talking about. I think that was his favorite. So he'll be performing a bunch of everybody's favorite themes, and that's just something so much to look forward to. We have many other guests. We just added Jack O'Halloran, who is also at our June show. He was the villain Non in Superman 1 and 2, the original 70s and 1978 movie and 1980 movie. So we're excited about having Jack back. We have Count Gore Duvall, who was another interviewer on your show, which was fantastic. I think he was interviewed twice on the Tampa.
Yeah, we love the Count here.
And those were epic interviews, and I learned, again, so much about him and his, Count Gore Duvall, Dick Diesel, and his career through your interviews. And I want to thank you for that, because that was very informative. And he'll be.
Well, I want to thank you too, Andy, because actually me and my wife are meeting Count Gore Duvall here in Lithuania in June for dinner. Him and his wife are traveling out to Europe. So, it all goes into a big circle, So, I mean, we brought him on again. I mean, I know me and Ed grew up watching Count Gore Duvall. And the guy is just, I mean, I know he's an older guy now, but the guy is sharp.
Oh, yeah. And did you guys watch him, just curious, in Washington, D.C. area? Is that what picked him up?
My dad worked for the Redskins, so I actually spent years in, Washington, and he was. Now it's funny because if you would tell me that I would be talking to him one day, which we have the last couple of years and had him on the show, I would never believe it because he was, as a kid, I was a big Count Gore Duvall fan. So was Ed.
That's fantastic. What are the chances of the two of you like growing up together and then having the Tampa Bay connection and then him coming to Tampa Bay and then Lithuania? It's just amazing, the coincidence factor.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, like I said, when you talk to him, he's just on top of it, and he's still going, right? I mean, he's the longest running. We were talking about how when he was elected to the Horror Host Hall of Fame, he's the only one left out of that whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm going to highlight that on social media that he is, like you said, the only surviving member of the original 25. And, we're doing this, like you mentioned, Dr. Paul Bearer, we're doing this in Dr. Paul Bearer's memory. And, those people who came before us, like Doug Hobart. Doug Hobart was an actor and a special effects maestro who lived down in South Florida. He worked with William Grafé on a lot of drive-in movies, B movies in the 60s into the 70s. And he just recently passed away. He was Fred Olin Ray's father. So Fred has been a longtime guest of our show, and our hearts go out to Fred and the whole family, the Hobart family, and we do Tampa Bay Screams in their memory. All those that came before us, like Shock Armstrong, my friend John Moxery, who was a special effects person. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm not sure if you were living here at the time, but in the early 70s, on television on Sunday mornings, Ronald McDonald would come on TV and read the funny papers to the kids. And I remember watching that in the early 70s. And as it turns out, this person, John Moxery, played Ronald McDonald on that show. And John would later go on to do the special effects for and act in the movie Satan's Children, which was filmed in Tampa in 1974. And then I think it was released in 75.
Didn't they? They did a thing for that Satan's Children over in Clearwater at the old theater, didn't they?
Yeah, we did that at Tampa Theater. This is back in, 2015, I think it was, maybe 2014. But yeah, we had the original cast and crew of Satan's Children on stage for Q&A after the screening of the film, and that was a lot of fun.
It's awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing you guys did that. I was actually out of the country at that time, but I was kind of bummed. I saw because you guys had some people there from the film and stuff.
We assembled an amazing group of the surviving members of the production, and it was definitely it's still talked about today. It was definitely a cult movie highlight of our area.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and and for you guys, this is so you guys did now when you book this convention now, you guys doing it on it's a Sunday, like we said. And is it getting now that you've done two, right? Is it getting a little like easier for you now? You're starting to get that like the hang, like I mean, like you said, you took it over. It ran for 9 years before you took it over, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
it is. It's getting easier, and it's a lot like putting together. I've produced some movies over time, and it's a lot like putting together a movie production. You assemble a cast, a crew, a staff, have a budget, and kind of work with a location. It's very similar to putting together a movie, and so it's kind of second nature to me. I've done this many times before, so it's a great. I consider it a great honor to be able to do this and a great challenge. And I hope that I do it for the fans. I hope they have a great time.
And those who don't know, you studied film at the University of Miami, and you did Filthy. Was that your first one?
Yes, Filthy was maybe not my first, not my first film because I made films in film school, but my first kind of professional foray into just making an independent standalone film. And at the time it was a popular kind of a short film. It made the rounds in many film festivals. This was back in 2004, 2005 era. And it was kind of noted for being very disturbing and a challenge to watch, just not because it was bad or anything, because it was had some very disturbing moments. So that kind of propelled us into, just energized us into doing Brain Jacked and the Uh-Oh Show afterwards. Did that
How was working with Herschel Gordon Lewis? What was your? I know we talked about it the last time you were on, but how was your? I've met Herschel, great guy. I mean, obviously, 2009 we lost him, I believe it was, right?
It was after the Uh-Oh Show. It was. It wouldn't have been 2009 because that's when we shot the movie. It was some years after that, like maybe I don't have the information in front of me, but I'm thinking maybe 2012, 2013, those years.
Yeah. I remember he was, yeah. So, how was working with him personally for you?
It was fantastic. I met Herschel at a convention, uh, the same way I met William Graffet, and we just struck up a friendship. He said, Andy, email me and you know, let's see if we get something going. He had heard about Filthy, and I gave him a copy, and Brainjacked as well. We just completed that, and things happened very rapidly. Like after we shot Brainjacked in 2008, everything with the show kind of fell into place. We got the cast and crew together. We had Brooke McCarter from the Lost Boys. We didn't know he resided in Tampa at the time. Kind of came in for an audition, and we're like, wow, this, Brooke McCarter's here from the Lost Boys. So it just kind of surprised us. And Brooke was another amazingly great person. And he's passed on as well. And, our hearts go out to the McCarter family, and we just miss Brooke so much. But Herschel was fantastic. He's such a smart person. Like, he's not, like, personally, he's not very much into horror. He's an academic. You go into, when we've encountered him at his residence, he had so many books about, places all across the world, Africa and Asia and the Americas. It's just amazing. He's just an amazing mind, but he's very tuned in to what people want. Like he understood the power of exploitation and pretty much created the gore genre back in 1963 with Blood Feast.
Yeah, I remember Blood Feast. Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, like you said, you have the address. So people who don't know where it's in Clearwater, right? The event you have coming on.
It is in Clearwater at the OCC Roadhouse, and museum, which is just a great place. It's next to a Harley Davidson dealership, and they serve great food. They've got burgers and fries and everything you can imagine, meatloaf and chicken dishes, and that's why I kind of picked this place, and we kind of work with them and hosting this event, because people can eat there. People can eat and drink and have a good time while they attend the convention.
Okay, and what's the site? So it's TampaBayScreams.com, and what time does it start on Sunday?
It starts at noon and it runs until 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. we have another special event, the Jay Dyer Lecture and Dinner Op. Now, it does not include dinner. That's paid separately, but you get a lecture, and the first 30 people who sign up get a Jay Dyer book, Esoteric Hollywood. And he'll be doing a lecture on the secret. It's called The Dark Secrets of Horror Movies. And Jay delves into like secret metaphors and signs within movies that you might not pick up after one or two screenings, but they're there. And he kind of goes through meticulously and explains how these things kind of got to be, even if it's like a little prop within the shot. He kind of explains why it's there, what's the purpose, and how it kind of fits into real life. I mean, horror can mirror real life. Horror can take its cues from real life, and vice versa. And the artist expresses that in their work, and he kind of really delves into that. And he made me think about horror films in a completely new way that I would never thought of before.
Okay. And you have and again this year you have April Hunter's back again, right? She was on our show with you last year. And you guys have so what about vendors? You guys have some of the toy companies out there again, like Joe's Toys last year out there.
We have Joe's Toys. They're coming back, and we're very happy to have Carmen and Bobby back. They offer some great collectibles. We've got Franco Studio 17 returning. We've got Mikey's #1 Comics. Filmmaker Berserk will be there. That's an independent film course. They're one of our sponsors. Just so many. I mean, Joel Wynkoop will be there offering his movies with his wife, Kathy Wynkoop. Treasure Trek will be there. Oh boy, a lot of authors. We have.
Stephanie Jensen will be out there, Ed. We know Stephanie. She's an author. She'll be at your show too, I believe.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Stephanie's actually a returning vendor. She wasn't at our June show, but she was. I remember seeing her and talking with her at a previous show back when it was in Tampa.
Yeah, we know her. She's been covering the metal scene in Tampa with I think in I forget the name of her company, but I know she was doing the metal show thing for a while too, over in that area.
Great.
Yes, and then people who want to get tickets, where's tickets available at?
Tickets are available at tampabayscreams.com, or they can get them at the box office. They're $5 more at the box office. It's going to be a $30 charge at the box office, but they could save $5 by buying them online.
So is this going to be like a once a year thing? Or are you going to start moving it into twice a year or full weekends? I know this event is a 1-day event this time.
This is a 1-day event, and we're going to see how it goes. I mean, we've done. The previous owner, Sean Donahue, did 1-day events certain years, and they seem to work out pretty well. They're obviously not as large scale as our 2 or 3-day ones, but I want to give this a go and see. I just want to see how people react to like the atmosphere at the OCC Roadhouse. It's such an interesting place because you got the food and the drinks, and it's more festive than like a ballroom at a hotel. So I'm just kind of curious in how people like it, and I think once people kind of understand, oh, this is at a big amphitheater at a restaurant, they're gonna like it, embrace it over time.
Well, that's great. I mean, I think it's killer what you do. I wish I could be out. I mean, it's every time you do these, I'm not in town. I was in Florida for November and some of December, and now I'm back in Europe. I know Ed's going to come out. Him and the family want to come out to the event. But I always miss the damn thing, which is totally a bummer because I think next one you do, I'm really going to try to like base my travels off of it.
Well, Tony, we'll look forward to seeing you there whenever you can make it someday in the future, and we're looking forward to welcoming Ed there.
Ed will be there. And Andy's right. I mean, like again, you're always welcome on, it's your second time. Every time you do an event, we're going to bring you on here. We're going to promote it. Like I said, we have Jill Whitlow coming on in a few minutes also from Night of the Creeps. She's also going to be, she's one of your guests too, which I didn't even realize that she was a Florida resident also for many years in St. Petersburg.
I didn't necessarily know that until I did research on her. Sean and I talked about, who he'd recommend and who we could get for future shows. And, Jill was a favorite. And when I looked up her resume, all the movies she's been in, and it was just amazing. Some of my favorite films, Porky's and Weird Science, Night of the Creeps. She's just got a great.
Yeah, she's awesome. We're looking forward to talk to her tonight too. But man, Andy, I mean, anything else you want to mention to anybody about Tampa Bay Screams coming up this upcoming weekend?
Oh, just give a quick overview. We're gonna have vendors, the best vendors. EJ Morales will be there. Thomas Michael Thomas, authors and comic book dealers and collectibles and horror merchandise. Robert Emery will be there. He's a legendary cult movie director. He directed Scream Bloody Murder back in 1973 or 72 or 73 here in Tampa Bay. So he's going to be there. He's now an author, and he's going to be offering his books on a special deal. And we have, just so many others, Denise Duff will be returning. Krista Grady Saxon will be here again. You mentioned April Hunter. Joel Wynkoop and Kathy Wynkoop will be here. Just so many great stars from the B movie world. Jennifer Nangle will be here from LA. Joe Davison, Sean Donahue will be here. Just an array of stars. Go to our website and look at our celebrity lineup. We've got vendors, we've got the celebrities, we've got panels this year. We didn't do that in June, but our stars will be discussing their careers in a panel forum on stage at the show. So we're really looking forward to that. And we've of course got our film festival too. We've got short films this year. We're welcoming all of our film festival entrants and those filmmakers who are able to attend. We've got some filmmakers who submitted films who are in attendance as vendors. So they're going to be promoting their films in our vending area, which is called the Dealer's Dungeon. So look for them. Look for the independent films. Buy their DVDs, buy their Blu-rays. Support them.
Go. Yeah, and like I said, man, we'll always have you back. When you have these events going on, we're total supporters of it. We think it's killer what you do. and we'll always, like I said, man, we'll always support. And, I think it's going to be a great event. And, you know, it seems like it's growing every year you're doing it. So, um, you know, Andy, again, we want to thank you for coming on. I'm sorry my connection has been a little rough tonight, but it's always good seeing you and catching up with you and stuff. And like Andy said, it's gonna be a good time this weekend. Ed will be out there. And yeah, Andy, as always, man, we appreciate your time, you coming on and hanging out with us. Tampa Bay Screams, going on this weekend. And like I said, TampaBayScreams.com is where you can get a lot of info. We're actually going to run the commercial again because I forgot to run it before you came on. So we're going to run the promo. And Ed, anything else with Andy?
No, I'll see him next weekend. It'll be exciting because I get to see 3 people we interviewed. So it's actually.
Yeah, Alan was great too. Like you said, we had Alan on here, Howarth, and he was awesome. So that's another thing too. Like you mentioned, he'll be performing also after the event. So you can't beat it.
Like you can't beat it.
Yep. So again, Andy, we appreciate you as always. We'll have you back on here again. We know that. And, and we're going to play the promo for Tampa Bay Screams. And then what we'll do is we'll be back with Jill Whitlow from Night of the Creeps, Porky's, Mask. The list goes on. And Andy, as always, man, you have a good evening.
Tony and Ed, I appreciate the Tampa Morgue, everything you all do, and all the music you introduce, all the great heavy metal and punk you introduce to everybody and talk about. And thanks for including Tampa Bay Screams in all your discussions.
Oh, absolutely.
Same here. Yeah, no problem, dude. We're all in the same community, and we're all, we all support it. That's the thing is we're into what you're doing. I think it's killer what you're doing. I was a fan of the Tampa Bay Picture Show back in the day. So, it's one big circle, man.
For sure.
And we'll play the promo for it, and then we'll be back with Jill Whitlow after this. Thanks again, Andy.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Wow, that was scary! But here's something even scarier! The all-new Tampa Bay Screams HorrorCon 2025. Make like the Evil Dead and join us! January 19th, 2025 for Tampa Bay Screams. Noon until 6 p.m. at the OCC Roadhouse and Museum in Clearwater, Florida. Featuring special celebrity guests, including me, King of the B Movies, Joel D. Wynkoop, Halloween 2, and Escape from New York composer Alan Homeworth, Jill Whitlow, star of Night of the Creeps, legendary cult movie actress Erin Brown, classic horror host Count Gore Duvall, Suspiria star Barbara Magnolvi, authors and lecturers Jay Dyer and Jamie Hanshaw, Subspecies star Denise Duff, horror artist Scott Spillman, Scream Queens Kathy Wynkoop, April Hunter, Krista Grotti Saxon, Amy Rolfson, and Jennifer Nangle. Vendors, panels, horror fun, mouth-watering food, drink, ATM access, and free parking. Plus, after-con special events including a Jay Dyer lecture and dinner op. And Alan Holworth live in concert playing his most famous movie themes from Halloween 2 and 3, John Carpenter's Escape from New York, They Live, Stephen King's Christine, and more. Collectibles, Blu-rays, DVDs, VHS, movie posters, vinyl, action figures, art, gifts, and so much more! Oh boy, she's having the best time at Tampa Bay Screams HorrorCon, and you will too! Sunday, January 19th, 2025, noon to 6 at the famous OCC Roadhouse and Museum Amphitheater, across from Burt's Barracuda Harley Davidson. Visit us at TampaBayScreams.com.
We are joined by Jill Whitlow. Jill, I feel like when you come on, we should be playing Winger, Hungry.
I know, right? You should have.
Wow. And for those who
I know.
1988, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel so old. I am old.
So Ed, I don't know if you know, but Joe was in the Hungry video from Winger in '88. And Jill, I have to ask you before we get into your history and stuff. We started out with that. We obviously were a metal show, and you have some music, ties. So we wanted to bring that up. But I have to say, when I rewatched that video, is your body, and I know it's not you actually, but it looks like your body is hanging out the car window as it flips. On the
I was actually in the car. No, I'm kidding. I also do stunts. I don't. Well, I know I died, but I don't know if I got thrown from the car.
Is that
I
the only
don't
time
know.
you've died too, right? In anything you've done, I think that's the
did.
only time you've ever been killed off was a winger video.
That's right. Although Jason says I was killed in Night of the Creeps by the dog.
Yeah.
But I didn't. He missed it. He missed my mouth.
Yeah,
So there.
I mean,
and then he got Jason.
Yeah, so Jill, again, we appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, and Jill's going to be at Tampa Bay Screams on Sunday, January 19th. We're going to talk about that tonight. We'll go over all that and stuff. But yeah, I had to start out with the video. And how did you get that part in that video?
Oh my gosh. Well, I had taken a very small break from acting. And then I moved back in LA, back to LA, and I called my agent, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're back. I'm so happy. I want to send you on an interview for a video." And I said, "Okay." So I went on the interview, and I got it. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I really didn't think too much of it. I'd seen videos, and MTV was so hot back then, and in 1988, and I was so excited to do it. And it was so much fun. And then when I saw the video after it was done, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's kind of right up there, because my goal when I moved to LA was to be in a Diet Pepsi commercial.
Which you were.
And I got it.
Which you were.
And it was right up there for the MTV video. And the lead singer of Winger was mighty cute.
My mom was a Kip Winger fan too, actually. You were around the band too, right? You dealt with what was it, Rob Beach and all those guys?
Yeah. And it was so much. I just loved it. And the 80s were great. I mean, all the music, all the clothes, all the, everything.
It was a different time. Definitely
I miss it.
Yeah. Well, and you were born what? So Coral Gables?
I was.
Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was. And it's really where I was born in Coral Gables. It hasn't really changed that much. But when I go back to Miami, I never really hung out at South Beach because I just didn't like it very much. It was very dirty and crazy. And of course, I, have been a bunch, but I didn't hang out there. Mine was Coconut Grove. That was my hangout. And it was the greatest place on earth to grow up, I think. I had Venetian pool. I don't know if you know Venetian pool, but you should Google it and then go, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun. They have caves, and it's like a big island right smack in the middle of Coral Gables. And then my dad was my dad was the president of the Orange Bowl committee for the golf tournaments. And my sister was the Orange Bowl queen, and I was the Orange Bowl junior queen. So a lot of great memories there. Lots of fun.
And you started doing stuff early because you started doing commercials at 3
when I was 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a ketchup commercial.
The Heinz commercials.
Yeah, I did.
There was a lot of people who did those. If you think about it, Corey Feldman did those back in the day.
Did he really?
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of actors started doing those old.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know that.
And how did you start
Wow.
get into the commercials?
Yeah. I got into commercials, I got an agent when I was 3. My mom was at the grocery store and a woman came by. I just can't remember her name, but she was a modeling agency, and she's like, "Oh my God, she looks like Shirley Temple. We need to start sending her out." And then I think when I had been doing commercials in my later teens, like, or early teens, 12, 13, 14. I did a lot of course, because Miami is very Spanish, and always, I guess when I was growing up, there was a lot of Spanish people, and the Cubans would come over. And so I started doing a lot of Spanish commercials and Spanish magazines, modeling, and whatnot. And I worked a lot. And I did a Coca-Cola commercial in Tampa. They flew me and my mom to Tampa. And then I went to New York and I met Wilhelmina. And my mom wouldn't let me go back to New York. She wouldn't let me live with other people when I was 16. No, I was 15. I was 16 because Bob Clark from Porky's had flown me out because Wilhelmina wanted to meet me. And she wanted to sign me. But my mom said she's too young. And then I kept doing commercials, and then I didn't get one. And I was devastated. And my mom said, "No more."
Do you remember your first paying gig? Like was that the Heinz commercial? Was the first time you got a check for doing anything? I know you're only 3.
The Heinz commercial, yeah. But then the big one was Coca-Cola. Yeah. And I was like 14 or something. And then, of course, Porky's. I think that when I was little, that's when I didn't get a commercial. And my mom was like, she's not going to, behave like this when she's this young. Let's wait till she gets a little older. So I think it was about 14 that I started doing commercials again. And I did the Coca-Cola. And I was like, wow, I'm making money, Mom. And I think that's when I opened my first bank account. And then, of course, Porky's. And then after I graduated, I booked it. Well, I wanted to book it to LA, but I booked it to Boston because I had to go to 1 year of college to please my parents. So I went to college in Boston, and then I booked it to LA.
And you mentioned Bob Clark, who whoever don't know, he did like Black Christmas. He did a Christmas Story, right? Dead of Night. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. A bunch of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
You were really close with Bob because you said you were 15, right?
I
When you first
was.
met him.
Yeah. Oh my God. I adored him. And he was very father figure, father-like to me. And he was the reason why I ended up in LA when I did. And he introduced me to people. That's when I got an agent and I just started working. So, he was very, very good to me. I loved him.
He passed away, 2007, was it?
Oh, was it 2007? I don't remember the year, but I know it was too soon.
When you got people at you, obviously Porky's, you got no callback, right? He pretty much hired you after.
Oh, on the spot.
On the spot.
Yeah, I think it was my voice. I always seem to get those innocent, next door kind of roles, and I think it's because of my voice.
Yeah, and Porky's you mentioned, so that's like 1982. You play the freshman, Mindy, in that, right? How was your parents? So when you go to your parents, because it sounds like your mom was a little protective, right? And you go to her and we all remember Porky's. Ed, as a kid, we all this was like the movie you weren't supposed to see, but you had to see it,
Yeah.
Did you remember like when your first parents became aware of the script?
Well, my mom was fine, but my dad was so excited, and he would tell everybody that I was in this big shower scene. I'm like, oh my God, Dad. We were in New York. We went for the premiere, and we walked out, and he goes, "That's my daughter. She's in the movie. She's in the shower scene." I'm like, I am not. So my dad was just crazy and fun, and he loved that I was an actress. It was so funny because they came to visit me in LA, and I was shooting TJ Hooker. Huh. And I was doing a very, very serious scene with Shatner, and
that was the scene where you played you were playing like the
I was a hooker,
witnessed a murder.
Yes,
hooker. Yes,
I did, but I was also, a very young prostitute, and so Bill was at a table, and I was crying, and he was trying to get me to not be a prostitute anymore, because I was only 15. And it's a very serious scene, and my mom and dad come to the set, and my dad is behind the camera, or like a curtain thing, and we kept hearing this beep, and nobody knew what it was, and we took like 10 scenes. We checked the refrigerator. They turned the air conditioner off. They were turning, the microwave off. Go to the kitchen. See if it's from there. Is it a light? It was my dad's hearing aid. Yeah. He turned it up too loud. So he could hear me. So I never told anybody. But I did see my dad go, oh, shit. And all of a sudden, the buzzing went away. So that's a funny little behind-the-scenes story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Before I do want to mention with Porky's, there was some, I don't know how long you were on the set for, actually,
I was there for about 2 days, 2 to 3 days.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what did you I know Tony passed away. Tony Goni.
Yes.
Passed away also recently, last year, right?
Yes.
2024.
Last year.
Yeah. Did you have any memories of working with him, or did you deal too much?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was so fun, oh God. They were always joking with me because I was underage. Well, when are you coming out to LA? When can we date you? How old are you again? And because it's a total guys movie. And they were hysterical. They were all so nice and so much fun to work with, because they were, with Bob Clark and just, the camaraderie on the set and everything. They kind of were goofy and fun and sleazy and
did you deal with like Nancy Parsons at all, or any of those?
No. No, I didn't.
You said when you moved out to LA at 18, and did you start auditioning right away when you got there?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Did you head there by yourself?
I did. Oh, wow. Yeah. My sister lived there at the same time. She's about 4 years older than me. And she lived there, so I lived with her at first. And then about 2 years after, I moved out. And so my mom was pretty comfortable, having her. And she had taken me to dinner one night. I was only 19. And she took me to dinner, and she knew a lot of people. We were at, the pizza place on the top of the hill. and he also owns Sushi Coco Sushi. He was married to Vanna White. Oh,
Vanna
what's
White.
his name? On Top of the Hill in Bel Air, on Beverly Glen. I can't remember his name. But anyway, a guy walked up to us and sat down and started talking, and my sister was so protective. And he said, "So, how would you like to go to the Playboy Mansion?" And I went, "Oh, sure." So my sister's like, why? And who are you? And what is your name? And blah, 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 blah. I need your phone number, blah, 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 blah. And the guy who owned the restaurants, he was there. God, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was good friends with him. And my sister was dating him. And he said, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So he took good care of me. But I went and played backgammon with Hugh Hefner and kicked his butt. And me and Hugh kind of became friends and went to one of his pajama parties because they were a little crazy.
I've heard about them on TV. Are they as crazy as they say?
Oh my God. You have no idea. Yeah, they were crazy. Let's put it this way. I woke up the next day and I was like, how did I get home? Where's my car?
I think they had like certain actors just hanging out there all the time. I used to
all the time. But I would go and play backgammon every once in a while with Hugh. Mainly because, and then I introduced him to my sister, and he wanted us to, be in one of the magazines, and we kept saying no, thank you, no. Well, you'll get a boob job and all this stuff, so many thousands of dollars. And I did think about it because it sounded really great, and I loved Hugh, but I just couldn't do it. I could not imagine my dad looking through a magazine and seeing his daughter and then showing everybody, because he probably would.
Like, Porky's is one thing, but he'd say, what the hell?
Yeah. So no, never did it. Neither did my sister. So
that's like around 84, I guess, because like you said, you did the Two Faces of Betsy Morgan.
Yeah.
I think it was called T.J. Hooker in 84.
Yeah.
In 85, you did the Otherworld sci-fi series, which on CBS.
The Otherworld. Oh my God. Yeah, I did. That
8 episodes was that show, I think.
Yeah, that was so crazy. It was so fun. But I can't believe you know that, because that was not a big hit. Neither was Ghost Chase.
Ghost Chaser, yeah, we'll mention that too, actually.
Yeah.
And in 85, so you were also, and I know this film because my mom was really into this film, and I remember as a kid growing up, in 85 you did Mask, right?
Yes, I did.
And that role, so you originally tried out for the blind girl role?
I did, and Peter Bogdanovich, he just said that, because Jill, I want you to do it so bad, but I don't want to do that to your career, because you're a little green, and if you don't pull it off, it's going to ruin you. But I want you to be in my film. And he wrote me in as Anne Marie. So I was Laura Dern's character's best friend at the horse ranch, of course. So
that was your first film in LA, right?
On camera. Streets of Fire with Michael Pare was my first kind of acting role, but it was only the back of my head. And I still get residuals from it. It's so weird. But I played, so I did all my scenes with Michael, because, what's her name? Who was in that?
In which one?
In Streets of Fire with Michael Pare. Oh. Gosh darn it.
God, the age is getting me. I know it too.
I know.
Remember this after we're done too. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to Google it. But I played her because for all of Michael's close-ups because she couldn't do it. Diane Lane.
Diane Lane.
Right?
There you go. I think Ed's double checking it too for us.
I think it's Diane Lane, Ed. So yeah, whenever you see her back of her head, it's well. So that was my first introduction.
It's kind of a stunt double thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because William Dafoe was in that. William Dafoe is great.
Yes. Oh my God, he's so cool. Yeah.
Rick Moranis too.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Well,
I was with a lot of people. I just wish you had seen my face.
You know, well, it's funny because if you look at some of the people up to that already, like the people you'd worked with up to that, like like just if you go by the cast of some of these things that you
crazy.
You had already worked with like
Bill Paxton.
I know. Oh my God.
Heather Locklear,
and he died too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Kim Cattrall. You worked with a bunch of these people already.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was so blessed. I really was. I was so lucky. And then, God, I'm having such a brain fart.
And Eric Stoltz, I got to mention that you worked with him in Mask. So I want to, so Eric Stoltz, I first remember Eric Stoltz. I'm sure Ed is the same way from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah,
that's how I remember Eric Stoltz, or I think of him or Lance from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
But so Eric Stoltz was a method actor, right? So pretty extreme.
Yes, you couldn't call him Eric.
You had to call him Rocky.
Rocky.
Oh yeah, you had to call him Rocky. He showed up on the set probably 3 hours early every day to do his makeup so nobody would see him as Eric. And then he left with his makeup on. He did not want anyone to see him or call him Eric. He was not Eric. He was Rocky. Very method. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did that drive? I know some people that drives. It makes them insane.
I thought it was a little odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people can't handle that. They say it just makes them nuts.
Yeah. I mean, I got used to it, and there's a lot of people like that you don't know about. I mean, they're really a character.
Daniel Day-Lewis is like the biggest probably guy, Remember, he was like wanted to be Lincoln. You could not call him anybody but
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
When he did Gangs in New York, he actually walked around with the prosthetic eye, and it would be that guy was. He's unique. He's probably.
Oh my gosh! Well, I met the whole cast of Gangs of New York.
Yeah, that was a great movie too.
Oh my god! I was so excited. I had no idea that they were having a reunion at one of my shows, and I'm like, oh, you guys.
You also were Sam Elliott, which I think he's
Estelle Getty. Right?
Yes, I know, and Cher.
Yep.
Dennis Berkley. How was do you remember any of the cast from Mask? How long were you on?
Oh, I remember Cher. I was there for one day, but I met everybody, and I cannot. I honestly cannot say through my whole career and all the people that I was so blessed to meet. I really never had one bad experience. I really didn't.
Didn't you meet Prince too?
Excuse me?
Didn't you meet Prince?
I did. How do you know about that?
We know everything here at the Tampa Morgue.
Wow. Have you been following me?
We know all this stuff.
I danced with Prince. I was at a nightclub called Voila. And his bodyguards came up to me and introduced themselves and as Prince's bodyguards.
Now, was he Prince or was he the symbol at this time?
He was Prince.
Okay.
Yep. And they said he would like to dance with you. And I'm like, really? Huh. Okay. So I danced with Prince. He was very shy. Very shy. Very sweet. Laughed a lot. I think because he was shy. Just danced with him a couple times. Talked with him very shortly afterward. And he was so shy that it was a little awkward. So I kind of, okay, well, thank you. I'm going to go back to my table. It was awkward, but I met him and I danced with him, and it was pretty cool. A very cool memory. And his shoes were about that tall.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And I also met Tom Cruise there at right after Risky Business, and he was a cocky son of a gun.
Yeah, he's definitely a little different.
Yeah, he is. I'm not a fan.
His teeth were definitely
great
different
actor.
back then.
Great movies, but
Risky Business. I mean, that was another one. I ranked that. We talked about Porky's. There were certain movies as like Ed knows, as like the young guys, like Risky Business, Porky's, all those Revenge of the Nerds. They all kind of
yes.
But was there any movies that you really wish you were a part of back then? That because you were around during, which we're going to talk about, obviously the Night of the Creeps, and we're going to talk about Weird Science and stuff. But was there anything because you were during a period of just some great movies? Was there anything that
I know.
Actually, is there anything you tried out for that we don't know about that you didn't get? Any of these the big 80s movies we would say?
Oh gosh. Gosh, I was kind of like the Bee Queen. I kept pretty busy. I never, I was working. That's a dream. It was a dream for me to become one of those A actors. So when I left LA, I was on the B level. Scream Queen, kind of. And Thunder Run,
which we'll talk about that too. Yeah, that was your first. That was
my very first lead role in a movie.
Was that shot in Nevada?
Yeah, Laughlin, Nevada, and we stayed at a casino, and I think I heard ding, 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 ding for about a year afterwards, after I went home. And then, when I did Neat and Tidy, I filmed that in Spain. Do you know that one?
No, I don't know that one, actually.
You don't?
I don't know that one, no.
It was a TV series by the same writers of Benny Hill.
Oh, I remember Benny Hill.
Yeah. And one of the guys in Benny Hill was in there, was in the movie. It was all British, except for the woman who played my mother. God. We're going to have to Google it.
There you go. Ed, you got that?
I am embarrassed, but she was huge. Gosh, she was great. At any rate, so I went to Spain. I went to London to do wardrobe, and then we all flew to Spain. And we were there for 2.5 months, traveled all over Spain. It was an Elvis Presley soundtrack, and it was about me, who came from a very wealthy family, and my father was a mobster. and he was out of town. I was in a car accident with my mother and father, and they told me that my mother died, and I ran away from home. So the whole thing is about my caretaker trying to catch me and bring me back home. And I meet a guy. It's very slapstick comedy. Very slapstick comedy. And we travel around the world trying to find my mother because I know that she's alive. And the whole time, this caretaker woman is chasing me and trying to kill me. So, and take me home. It's a crazy little show,
And
but
what
it
was
was
the name of that?
series in London.
What was the title again?
Adventures Beyond Belief.
Yes, in America it was Adventures Beyond Belief.
Okay.
Yeah, but wow, that was really
your first time out of the country.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, my dad was a captain on National Airlines, so I traveled Europe when I was 9. And after Spain, I stayed in Europe, and I had a week off. I didn't want to mess up my sleeping, so I went to Italy by myself, and then I had to start shooting in Germany for 3 months for Roland Emmerich on Ghost Chase, Hollywood Monster, whichever one you want to use. But Roland Emmerich. So it's like you see Ghost Chase, and then he moves to LA, and he does these amazing A-lister movies. It's like, hello. You know?
You also did Airwolf, right? You did Airwolf.
I did.
The Best Times, which The Best Times had Darren Dalton. Remember from Red Dawn?
You remember Darren?
Oh yeah, he was like Daryl. He was the traitor. I always think of him as the traitor in Red Dawn when they shoot him over in the snow scene.
Oh yeah.
See, Thomas Howell takes care of him.
Yeah.
Yep, he does.
Well, I mean,
another one.
Weird Science too. Weird Science.
Yeah, Weird Science. So I would definitely want Weird Science. So John.
Oh, yeah.
So John Hughes. So you first tried out for a different part in that movie, though, correct?
I did. I tried out for Aaron's part. And I again, he didn't, John wanted me to be a lead, and Aaron came in and blew him away. So I was perfume sales girl.
Perfume sales girl, and and we have to bring up. So you're flying, right? So you fly. You have this big dinner with the crew, and and
oh god,
it starts out with shrimp, right? I'll let you tell the story, but
yes. So of course, back then SAG, I don't know if they still do, but SAG had to fly you first class. So I'm sitting up there with everyone, and we all get shrimp cocktails, and I had no idea I was going to have a horrific allergic reaction. And so we all get to the hotel, and I gave Robert the rest of my shrimp cocktail because I just, he had already finished his, and I was full and here, and he didn't get sick. So we're all, we all get ready. We are, vanned over to a restaurant, and we're all sitting there with John eating. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm going to throw up. And I ran to the bathroom, spent most of the dinner in the bathroom. I did not sleep all night long before we filmed. And we filmed at a mall in Chicago, and the escalator was off, and the bathrooms were upstairs. So between every single take, be right back, I would run upstairs. And I got through that scene, don't ask me how, and I went back to my hotel, and I packed and left without telling anybody. Because I don't know if you've ever had food poisoning or allergic reaction to something and you just want to be home in bed, you know? And my agent calls me, what did you do? And I said, I was so sick. I wanted to go home. So I got on the plane and I went home. And she's like, well, thank God they didn't have to retake or anything. They said you didn't even wait for the dailies. And I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. Well, Steve Marshall was friends with Robert Downey Jr. When he was doing Night of the Creeps. So we would hang out all the time in Robert's crazy days. And, we would laugh and joke and about that time. And I felt horrible about that because I knew that John was kind of upset. I'm so sorry. And he's like, it's okay. Just if you ever come to my set again, don't do that. You gotta wait for the dailies.
Did they all know? Like, did Anthony Michael Hall know you were sick at the time?
Everybody. Yes, because I had to run upstairs between every take. So yeah.
How was Anthony Michael Hall and them? I mean, obviously growing up, I mean, we all, he was kind of like childhood and all the movies and stuff, and he was. It's funny because. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, like, we always saw him. He kind of played the nerdy role, but I always heard that he was like one of the Hollywood guys. I think he was like Ringwald or stuff like that back then. But how was he like actually like a decent guy on set to deal with?
He was fine. I didn't really get to know him that well. He wasn't real sociable. He hung out with Kelly a lot. Kelly LeBrock. So yeah, I didn't really get to know him real well. He was very professional. He wasn't, he didn't act like his age at all. He was very mature. You could tell that he was one of those kids that grew up, and had to really be mature and take care of his own. So, he was nice though. He was cool. He was really sweet and fun. During the scene, joked around a lot. So,
how about Paxton? Any interactions with him?
Oh,
as Ed said, we're all Paxton fans. I mean,
I know.
Another one who's gone, 2017. I think.
I know, that was awful. I didn't even know that he was sick. That was horrible. But he is a great guy. It was a great guy. Still is. He was really lovely. Yeah. I loved him. Really, really nice. Very professional.
I find it crazy that you also were on two of the most, they were popular because I'm a little older than Tony.
Yeah.
So, you were with Kirk Cameron and Ricky Schroeder.
How was he, man?
I know.
He seems a little. Come on. I'm sure he's not going to come on our show. I guess I could say it. He seems a little out there.
Ricky Schroeder lives in Utah now. On a big ranch.
I know you were on Silver Spoons also.
Yep,
I mean,
I was.
We'll mention.
Yeah, I was. And I played his girlfriend who he was cheating on with Bobby Lively.
The Beach House episode, right?
That's right. And then Kirk Cameron, he was really nice. Everybody was so nice. Like I said, I really never
Good experiences, yeah.
had too many bad experiences. I really didn't. The only, I hope she, well, I'm sure she probably
Sure, she's not going to tune into the
will
Tampa
never
Morgue, don't
see
worry.
this. But Kate from Charlie's Angels, I played her when she was 16 on, she was in a series. Oh my God. Anyway, I played her when she was 16, and I had heard that she was a little on the bitchy side, and that was playing it down. I didn't have any scenes with her because I was playing her very young. But yeah, that's the only one. And and Farrah.
And Farrah.
So I went out to dinner. I was dating George Clooney.
Really? Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah. And we went out to dinner with Farrah and Ryan. And I was just completely starstruck. Completely. When I saw Farrah. She went to the bathroom. And of course, I go to the bathroom also. And I'm like, I said, I just got to say, I'm a little starstruck. I know I'm with George, but you're Farrah. And I said, you are even more beautiful in person. And she's like, oh, thank you. I get that all the time. I'm like,
would you like an autograph? She's like,
yeah, right. I'm not going to pay $20 for it. No. Yeah. But she was gorgeous. But yeah, those are the only really two people that I didn't get
not sending Christmas cards.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get to Night of the Creeps too in '86, but you also Forrest Tucker you worked with, John Shepard, who for anybody who from Friday the 13th and A New Beginning, and how was Shepard to work with? Because I know your first scene was actually like a little awkward, right? The first scene you actually did with him in Thunder Run.
He was great. We didn't even know each other at all. And he comes from a very Christian background.
He quit acting, right, for a while because of, I believe.
He did, yeah. And our very first scene was the after of making love. We're in bed, kissing. And so he was very uncomfortable. It was my first scene like that. So I was very uncomfortable. It's like, hi, I'm Jill. Hi, I'm John. Let's hop into bed.
How awkward is that when you have to because you watch these movies. I know me and Ed have never been in any movies that I know of. Yeah. Unless Ed's not telling me something, but is it awkward having to like? Yeah,
what?
We can't talk about that movie on here.
Yeah.
But is it awkward? Like you don't even know these people, and all of a sudden, but is this just part of the professional? Because as a kid, when you're watching,
it's your job. And that's how I saw it. It was my job. And I mean, I can't speak for other people, but there's certain things that you don't do. You don't use the tongue and stuff, unless you really want to. But John was married. I respected that. No, I'm kidding. But there's just certain boundaries that you don't cross, like in any job. And that was one of them. And you expect it after reading the script. If it's in it, you got to do it, right? So it's just part of the job.
Part of the gig.
It is, yeah. But John is really good person. He's a very good guy and very very much from a Christian background. And I wasn't surprised at all that he chose not to do it anymore, for a while.
One thing I read about you before we get to Night of the Creeps too is that when you moved to LA, like you actually had good experiences. Like you never had, like you always hear these nightmare stories of like Los Angeles and,
Yeah.
And all these things, but you're actually had nothing but it was positive for you.
It really was. And I really have nothing bad to say. It's wonderful memories. It seems like a different life, sometimes it doesn't feel real to me. And when talk about Night of the Creeps, when I got a call and they wanted us to come to Texas and shoot a video for the DVD, I was like, huh? What do you mean? I had no idea we had such a fan base.
That was like 15 years ago, that Texas one almost, right? Because I met you actually at your first convention ever, which was Spooky Empire in Orlando, Florida, which was
I know.
a while ago. Yeah,
that was so much later than, other people were doing it. I didn't even know they existed. And when I went to Spooky, I was like, what? And all these people, I mean, it was crazy how many fans and the broad ages that they were, from like 8 years old to grandpa.
Well, and I think, you look at Night of the Creeps, I think you can show, for the most part, you can pretty much show an 8-year-old. You're not gonna. It's not like one of these movies that are like, you can kind of. There's some parts maybe that, but you can kind of. I don't know. You can pretty much show a lot of people that film and not worry about like, oh,
absolutely, absolutely, you can.
Yeah, and when you did that film, so you were 22 at that time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And so Fred Decker, the reason you got that role was because you reminded him of someone he had a crush on.
Yes. Yeah. And oh my God.
And the first one cast in that film too, I believe.
Yeah, I was. So I would read, with all the other, Steve's and and Jason's. And of course Brad
from Mama's Family. Yeah, you remember he was Bubba from Mama's Family.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, it was, oh my God. Of course, that's my favorite film.
Now, were you familiar with National Lampoon's European Vacation? Because that came out, the year prior with Jason?
Mm-hmm. I am. Of course. Because of Jason. But even before that, I mean, Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys on that, you guys were so close. I mean, from everything I've seen on the DVD extras, or just from talking to you guys at the convention years ago, like it was you guys. It was really like, you see some movies, you're like, oh, they do seem like they're really friends. You buy it, but it really was that on that film.
Oh, and we still are. We still are. We just did 2 shows, 2 reunions back to back. And I mean, we have, the thread, the texting thread, even Tom Atkins,
I love Tom Atkins.
He's in it too, with the thread. And we've just always, every single time we get together, it's like no time has passed. It's amazing. And me and Steve took our kids and went snow skiing, stayed in Utah, stayed at his sister Robin's bed and breakfast. And, we never stop laughing when we're together. And it's just we hit it off immediately. And what, 30 something years later, we're still that close. All of us, all four of us. It's amazing. And you know, the Bradster too, but he wasn't on the set a lot. And Fred didn't want him interacting with Steve.
He had to be the villain, right? You kind of wanted that villain thing.
Exactly. He didn't want them to become friends, so to speak.
Alan Kaiser, that was. I mean,
yeah.
He was, I mean, when you got that script, because I had read, so he had only, I think he wrote that script for that movie in 2 weeks. Decker did.
Oh my God, he was such a genius. It still is a genius. He was way before his time with that
when
film.
You got it, did you realize, like, you know, a lot of people start out when they do the old horror movies, so to say, like the Friday the 13th or your Nightmare on Elm Streets back in the day, like, a lot of people just do it as like a job. But for you, I mean, I know you loved being on the set and stuff, but obviously you had no idea the underground cult status the film would have eventually. But when you first saw the script, were you like excited about it, or were you just?
Yes, it was so much fun, and I had never, done anything horror. I did, a very strange 2-part Freddy's Nightmares. And then after I did Twice Dead, which was another horror film. And that was really fun. Really cool because we filmed it in a mansion and it was neat. But I was so excited to do the film because I love, just Fred. And when I met
Shane
him,
Black too, right? Who they worked together at UCLA. They were together, and they did. So those guys did Monster Squad together. In 77 also. So did you deal with Shane Black also?
Yeah, we did. Yep. He was a huge part in, the special effects, makeup, and
so
stuff.
that's what's cool about that movie too, is that I don't know if you know this, but the zombies, right? That's all the makeup guys from those movies. Like it was like the effects crew, like Howard Berger, Robert Kurtzman, Errol Ellis. There was a bunch of them, and they actually, I don't know if it was just to save, but they said they're like, oh, we might as well just use these guys as part of the cast.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, come on! Everyone wants to be a zombie.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I thought that was really cool. And what was your first impressions of Tom Atkins? Because we all know. I mean, Halloween 3, The Fog. I mean, you can just right? Escape from New York. I mean, Creep Show. I mean, how was working with him? I know I've always heard he's a very professional guy, but
he is very professional. But we are able to get the fun side out. So, he's a huge flirt. He's, it's funny because if you see us all together, Tom just like stares and laughs, and especially Jason makes him laugh so much. And he's just like, he's so different, But also Tom Atkins, he's a huge theater actor. He just actually retired from theater not too long ago. He lives in Philadelphia, and he was doing it in Philly. He's got that sort of, not, a method actor by any means, but he's just so dang good. He's so cool. And he's really cool in person. Really, really cool. So, you've never met him.
I have met him, actually. I met him
at
Spooky Empire, yeah.
Well, what did you think?
I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys, right? Growing up, there's certain guys like Angus Scrimm. There's certain dudes that you have like on the horror world that and Tom was one of those. And he was, obviously, even Lethal Weapon, which, goes back, I believe, to Shane Black getting him the script for Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, he's this and that movie was done before like pre CGI.
I
I mean,
know.
it was. There's a lot of real things to that. And you as the sci-fi thing,
Very
you were a fan of
memorable.
sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, I mean, you were a fan of sci-fi already, right? Before that,
Oh,
or
heck yeah.
what?
I still am. I love sci-fi. Yeah. I love it.
And a couple other things about that film. There's little things in that film that I really enjoyed. Like, obviously, you have a lot of the homage. You have Cynthia Kronberg. You have Ramiro, the
Yeah.
Raimi. You have all these things that tie into those movies. I know Decker was a big Steven Spielberg fan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, music related actually. So on the bathroom, on the stall, it reads "Striper Rules," right?
Yes.
And so
The makeup artist was married
she
to.
passed away too now. Kyle Sweet, right? His wife.
What?
Yeah, she passed away in 2009 from ovarian cancer. Yeah.
Oh
Michael Sweet's wife from Striper. So those who don't know, the reason that you see the Striper rules in the movie is because the makeup artist was married Michael Sweet from Striper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how that whole tied together. But
Oh, and the boys. Oh my God. Jason and Steve had such a crush on her. She was very cute. And they were always like, do I need to touch up? Do I need to touch up? But always listening to Stryker, of course. And it's Christian music. So she was very, Christian oriented, which was great. And
she did work on Repo Man, Teen Wolf,
I know.
Terminator.
She had a great career. I did not know.
Yeah,
Steve might have told me, and I forgot that she passed away. I'm not sure, but it comes to a shock to me because it's like hearing it for the first time again. But so many people, it ages me.
It's. I mean, like we always say, me and Ed always talk about it, every time we sign on to anything. It's like any social media. It's someone else. It's
Yeah.
You don't realize
Especially
you're getting older.
music.
See it. Yeah,
especially in music. We have so many people we know. Especially when you've played shows with them or you knew them personally, and then they're gone. And it's just crazy because I'm like, we're not that old. I mean, we're old. We're not that old. Not that old. Yeah,
I know.
Think it until you see it.
I feel it, but not sometimes. But that's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's just so sad, and I remember it kind of started with River Phoenix. That
he was so young though, right?
Oh my God, he was so young and so talented. So talented.
And he died at the Viper Room, right? Because I remember the first time I went to Hollywood and I went through there. That was what I remembered. I was like, River Phoenix died.
I know.
I think Christian Slater. They were all. It was all of them were.
All of them were there. Yep. Yeah. It was just. I think wasn't Justin Bateman a part of that?
He might have been, and Joaquin, his brother, too.
Yes, that's right.
He's an excellent actor, Joaquin.
Oh, yeah. So that was like the beginning of, for me, of that era. And he was like the first. And then, just from there. And then, what's the guy from Friends, the latest?
Matt.
Yeah. That was a shock.
Well, even Corey Haim, when Corey Haim, because him and Corey Feldman were so close.
Yeah.
When he died, it was like,
so the year before he was at Spooky Ed. Corey.
Yeah.
I know.
The year before
that's what's crazy. We talked about that, and then he was gone. And
I know. Yeah, and
he worked with Dick Miller too.
I know, he was awesome.
Yeah, so you got to work with him, and he passed away. 2019, he had a good run. He was Gremlins, Terminator. He was always in all these movies. You would see him in these movies. You didn't, like Weird Science, obviously.
I didn't know that either. Where have I been?
Yeah, Dick Miller, you did what he was in that, and so with Night of the Creeps, I wanted to ask you. So when you guys shot the interior scenes, was it was it the interior of an old Woolworths in North Hollywood that you guys shot most of those interior scenes at?
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps. I think that Fred Decker
It was in no, it was in the frat house on Frat Row.
You guys used 3 frat houses, right? But I thought a lot of the interior scenes were shot inside of an old department store that he had redone.
No, it was all pretty much
frat
shot
houses.
at the school. Yeah, at all the houses, because we used the interior of the sorority of my sorority. You know,
What schools did you guys do those at? Like Cal State, right? And
Southern Cal, right?
yeah,
That USC. Yeah.
And did he do some of the scenes at UCLA also?
I don't know if some of their scenes, like with, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
I
think
heard
so.
there was like 3 campuses, so I didn't know what campuses they were at. They were shooting at for those films.
Yeah. Oh, what is that? It's behind Woodland Hills, where Disneyland is. Where's Disneyland? Again, it starts with a T. It's in the valley-ish. That was the only other school. I am just horrible.
It's okay.
Gosh.
Yeah, I think I had read it. I thought it was 3 camp, but I couldn't remember which ones it was.
I'm so sorry. We did shoot very little at UCLA, but it was mainly USC and on Frat Row. That's where the house burning. Oh my God, it's at the tip of my tongue. It's after Woodland Hills in the valley. Oh, darn it. You don't hear about it a lot, but Disneyland is there. So I don't know. I can't remember the name of the city, but it was deep into the valley. And those were the 3 schools, but USC was the main one. That's where my sorority was. That's where the beginning party was. That's where we could never find Jason and Steve.
Oh, they were partying, right? They were actually partying at the
yes, they were
on campus.
It's like, okay, where are they? Where are they? And they're, at frat parties, drinking beer with the frat guys.
They're saying the filming locations were Griffith Observatory, California State University, Royce Hall, San Fernando Valley.
Thank you. San Fernando. Yes.
And Castaic Lake. Recreation area. I don't know what that is. That must be like maybe that's an outdoor thing. But those are the 5 locations AI pulled up. AI doesn't lie. No, they
don't. Yeah.
Say Woolworth though. Sorry, you're wrong, Tony. No Woolworth. But
I thought they filmed it, and for some reason I thought they shot some of the scenes in like some old department store that he like gutted out. But I don't know. Maybe it might
have been the observatory because
that was Weird Science.
No.
Weird. Maybe the observatory you were thinking about.
Yeah, maybe that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I think that's where the beginning scenes are with the guy and Frozen.
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that way you might be right there. And so with that film too, you guys did that, and then you guys again right afterwards, you and Jason did
in Germany.
Yeah. In Germany. So how was that experience in Germany?
Oh my God, it was really great. It was really great. So Uta, who is Roland's sister, and her boyfriend, and I mean, we were like, that was my other favorite, not the script part, but the people part, the behind the scenes part. Stuttgart is amazing. The Autobahn is really fun. I rented a Mercedes and whew, that was really fun. But I had been there before with my family and stuff, but never. Sindelfingen is where we filmed, and it is the Mercedes capital of the world. It's where the Mercedes factory is. So at noon, if you try to drive down the street, everyone's going to lunch, and there's all Mercedes. It's so funny. But the German people are just so kind and have the biggest hearts. I mean, Roland was very shy, so we kind of freaked him out sometimes. So we frequented a nightclub with Sasha, who is our makeup artist. And this nightclub was in Stuttgart, about 15 kilometers from Sindelfingen. And it was amazing. And you're really crazy, typical DJ dude, humongous disco. And they had a chair that you could sit on and go all the way around the nightclub. It was like a swing. And so I rode it all the time. I loved it because you're above the crowd and everyone's trying to grab your feet. And I also had a crush on the DJ, a big crush. And so did my makeup artist, Sasha. Sasha's a guy. Sasha ended up getting him. I'm like, are you serious?
Well, that's a competition you might not be. That's just one of those you got to take.
Wow. I've never been beat out by a guy before. That was a shocker. But at any rate, I remember I'm on the top of the crowd in this swing, a chair thing going around, motorized. And all of a sudden I'm walking past the door, or swinging past the door, and here comes in Roland. And he's like, oh, Jill! Get it down right now! I can't believe you're doing this. And you can't get hurt. So I never wrote it again. Plus, there was no reason to because the guy chose Sasha. But my gosh, we drove him crazy, Roland.
Roland Emmerich, he must have been a fan of Night of the Creeps, obviously, to bring you.
He was. He kind of wanted to create that Breakfast Club feel. But then he moved to LA after and became this huge director, writer, and by Jason and Jill. We actually, I still keep in contact with Uta, his sister. She lives in LA now as well. So they become Americanized. But we filmed all the studio part of that movie in Germany. And then we went to LA and all of the exterior shots were in LA. Okay. Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard. That's very interesting at 4 a.m.
I was going to ask you. I've been there a few times, but it was more like later, like late 90s, early 2000s. So it was a little different. So I wanted to ask you. You mentioned like the Brat Packs and stuff like this, and we mentioned Anthony Michael Hall, and you mentioned like there was certain cliques that seemed like as a kid you would watch, and this is like just from a kid watching these movies.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, you have the Corey Feldmans and these. Do you ever dealt with Feldman?
No. Jason was very good friends with him.
Yeah, so I mean, there was like that whole thing going on, right? Like you said, like so
Yeah,
there's the St. Elmo's fire. You had all these like
exactly.
these things were going on. Like, how
Yeah.
was it like? Because you're, you're say we'll go 19, 20, 21, 22. You're at
Uh-huh.
these age brackets that are like, it's a great time. We all remember those. We all remember that time period, where you
Oh,
want to stay
yeah.
up till 5 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So at that, 80s, me, I'm a little younger, obviously that time period. I'm my upper 40s now.
Yeah.
What was the 80s like at that? And you're in your 20s, right? Is it like when you're a kid watching these movies, you have this image of like this whole scene? Was it just exactly like, obviously there's no cell phones, which I believe that the no cell phones probably worked to your benefit back then. Probably worked to
Well,
your benefit.
really, computers.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there was no like actual internet, no socializing on the internet. I think at first there were a few chat rooms, but that was late 80s, early 90s. And then it just advanced. But it was, you did have your clicks. I have my whole life, I've always been kind of a loner. And still am. I'm married, but hi, honey, have fun. But we hung out a lot. Me, Jason, Steve, Robert Downey Jr., and you had different entities of it, but it was all one huge group, right? But other people were better friends than, those ones. And then we all tied in together. Somehow, some way, we all interacted at one point or another. So, yeah, I mean, like when they're in detention, right? It's, we all sort of communicate like that. It's a big, humongous brat pack.
And, everything was so different. You mentioned MTV earlier, and obviously, we get around 88 where you did the Ringer video that we've talked about, and you did the Adventures Beyond Belief and stuff. That whole MTV, it was a whole different thing, right? Like, I mean, what were you into music-wise, actually? Were you into any of, like, the, the rock, or you were, like, what was your thing back then?
I loved Duran Duran. And Los Lonely Boys, Santana. I like all kinds of music, except I do not like. I can't tolerate it at all. Like the Gidget movie era.
Ah, okay.
I thought you were about to say death metal. I was about to sign off.
Definitely. I just can't. Like Jimmy Valley.
Not your thing.
The swing.
Swing.
Yeah.
These names I haven't heard forever. We'll ask you something that we ask everybody that comes on this show. Do you remember the first record you actually received or bought?
Donny Osmond.
Donny Osmond, wow.
And Liz Garrett. But I used to sleep with Donny Osmond's.
They were big. The Osmonds were a big TV show.
I know.
People will never remember that kind of.
Or the Monkeys they used to always even play with.
Monkeys, none of that stuff.
The 70s.
There is, and I used to spray his face with perfume.
You remember the first concert you ever went to?
Oh God, you're gonna die. I've only been to 5 concerts my whole life.
Wow. You're in the 80s. You're in Hollywood. You're hanging out with your dating George Clooney, and you've been to 5 concerts.
I know. Isn't that crazy? I just don't like concerts very much.
You claustrophobic? Like there's just too many people, or just like...
Yeah, I'm not claustrophobic generally, but It's just too many people. I don't like being, like stomped on. I hate football games. Hate them. I don't like bleachers and crowds and stuff. The best one I've ever been to is Tina Turner and Paul McCartney. That was amazing. Oh, and one of my favorites was the Eagles. I saw the Eagles in concert. So
those are two good ones.
Yeah, right? So I'm not all that bad. I went to good ones.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's 1, 2. What is my others? I don't know.
You'll remember when it's over. That's how it always works.
I know. I will.
Five concerts, though. That I am actually surprised about.
That is weird.
Are you?
You're hanging out on the Sunset Strip, and as kids in the '80s, you're always thinking, "Oh, you got this
She's
band's
the polar
playing
opposite
at this
of Lemmy.
room.
I know. I know.
Obviously, we have to mention too what's going on in Los Angeles is absolutely
treacherous.
To see
It
on
is
the TV
heartbreaking.
Wow.
I've got to find out what happened to that man and the dog, and I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
If I find out, I'll let you know.
That's right, because you're a big pet person, right? Because you were, what was it? Was it Twice Dead with the cat? What was the movie with the cat that?
Twice Dead.
Twice Dead, right?
Yes.
You were made sure the cat was actually it was
dead.
Not, there was nothing going on.
Yeah,
no animals were harmed. No animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
Yes, I really had to make sure he wasn't killed for the movie or real, like a real dead one. So I love animals. I actually had Macy, where are you? I have an 87-pound Doberman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's amazing. And she was laying right next to me, but I don't know where she went.
We scared her off.
Yeah, I know. I do. But she's huge.
Awesome.
And I just had carpal tunnel surgery in both of my hands. Wow. Yesterday was a month. So I'm doing well. Except for Macy took me down the other day.
You're getting new floors, so you're ahead of the game. You got good stuff going on at the house. So
yeah, she's a strong girl. But yeah, and redoing the floors, and we basically been watching television on a bench. Because all of our furniture is in the pod. So at least we have a bed, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and a shower.
That's all you need.
Yeah. That's right. A bed and a shower.
And a refrigerator.
Yes, and a refrigerator. Got that too. So
I have to ask you, what was the film? Didn't you have trouble? You were shooting a film and you guys were wearing gang color, not on purpose.
Oh yeah, that was Twice Dead.
Twice Dead. You guys had
we were shooting, in near USC. And that territory was the Bloods. And we were wearing blue, which was Crips. And they're like, you got to be really careful. We had a lot of security around us, though. But that was interesting, Never been told that on a set before. You guys can't. Those are Crip colors.
Back then, that was a huge. Even in Jersey, where I grew up, that was a huge thing. You just knew
they were scared.
Yeah, no bandanas.
Of us wearing blue, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
because me, I look Spanish. I did because of the dark eyes, the dark hair. And I have, kind of a Spanish look. My ex-husband's Cuban. My kids are Cuban.
I'm Cuban over here too, yeah.
Yeah, but it was scary. It was, you got to change that shirt from blue because this is the Reds' territory. It's blood. And it was huge in that area. But I never saw them. It would have been really cool.
I
Exciting.
remember those days though, because they used to tell us even in school, like, you don't wear the certain bandanas because
I
it
know.
was a
Isn't that
thing.
crazy?
Yeah, it was a thing. It was. I don't know how big it is now. I mean, now I have 2 kids, and I'm at home by a certain time, so I don't know. But back then, it was like you just knew
Yeah,
the rules.
I know.
I don't think they are Crips and Bloods in Lithuania, bro.
No, yeah, we don't have any.
I don't think you got that problem over there.
Actually,
I don't know. I bet they do. You just don't know about it.
Well, no, we don't have no I saw recently. My wife showed me a Lithuanian rap group here because I was curious.
Uh-huh.
They were like, I don't even. They're singing about all the police, but the police don't bother. It's like totally different than the States here. It's completely
Oh my gosh.
total opposite. Like, so it's kind of funny watching them sing about this stuff because I'm like, man, they don't deal with any.
They're probably singing about buy the police a coffee or something instead.
Yeah,
of...
That's right.
Well, it's crazy here. The police don't follow you. They don't try to pull you over. They have like cameras if you speed and stuff, but no one's hiding behind bridges. There's none of that stuff. Like, it's very different. Like, it took me many years I've been here for 6 years now, back and forth between here and Florida. It took me a while to adjust, but it's a totally different lifestyle. It's actually, I love the States, but I think they enjoy life a little bit more. They try to enjoy more of the outdoor nature. Everyone's, they're on their cell phones still, but it just seems a little more intense when I'm in the States.
Yeah, America is just so like, especially
extreme.
especially today.
Yeah, it's
it's like the mom works, the dad works, everybody's hustle and bustle and chasing the next dime, and
so damn expensive now. Like, I went back there a couple months ago, and it was like, we have 2 daughters. We got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I mean, you go to the store, it's like you got one bag in your hand. It's about a bag of groceries at I'll say Publix because Publix. You're a Florida. That's $50 for a bag of groceries.
Sorry.
Oh, no. What's up, dog?
Come here, Missy. Come here. Show your face. Come here. So yeah, Publix. I mean, when did 2 breasts of chicken shoot up to $20?
Yep. Well, goes at Publix and go to the other stores for the rest.
What is it? America can be summed up in 2 words: processed foods.
I know.
I mean, that's why Publix is so expensive. They're green wise. Because it's quality stuff you're paying for.
Exactly.
And I tell you, eating the food there, we were there last month. We were there for a month, and you tell the difference in the food. Being from living over here in Europe, when you eat here, even the vegetables, they taste different. Everything's it's very different.
It does. It's so fresh. But Macy, come here. This is Macy.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow. Big.
Thank you.
What's up, Macy?
Hey, hi, Macy.
You're actually not the first dog that's been on the show. We've had 3, I believe. So.
Aww, I love her, baby. So that's my dog. My husband had a great idea to put us on a grocery budget. I won't tell you the number, but I was like,
if you watch, it's surprising, isn't it?
You want me to eat too? Or is it just for you?
Try having a 22-year-old that works out and he eats like a dumpster. Like he can just, I mean, Bryce never stops eating. He never. I'm like, didn't you? I make dinner.
Yeah.
And then he's pulling something out of the microwave an hour later. I'm like, didn't you just eat?
Oh my God!
Forget about kids meals, even.
But he's
kids
ripped.
Meals.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what am I going to say?
That's my husband.
Yes.
So we'll go have Chinese, and you know how full you can get at Chinese.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! I'm never coming here again. I'm never eating like that again.
An hour later.
I'm so sick. Not even an hour. We walk through the door, and he goes and gets chocolate. I mean, but then again, he's a cyclist. He rides 250 miles a week.
So
it's crazy. So he burns calories, but he eats all day long. And I said, that's not a good budget because you won't be able to eat.
Well, even kids now, you take kids to a restaurant. A kids meal now is like you're paying $12 a kids meal now. I mean,
I went to Taco Bell last night.
Remember how that's changed? You remember back in the talk about the 80s and 90s, how different in price.
$30, and I got 1 Crunch Wrap and a 12 pack of tacos.
Yeah, it's insane.
Not all for me. I couldn't believe it, and I have not been to Taco Bell since my kids were in high school. That was a long time ago.
I remember in high school, you go to Taco Bell and you'd get like a bag of tacos for
$1.
$2.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's insane. You know.
Yeah. Whatever happened to Taco Tuesday?
That's all done now. It's
it's gone.
My wife
always
ordered
surprised.
Chili's last night.
Did you what? Chili's?
My wife, $50 for 3 people.
I'm sure. Panera.
Yeah.
It used to be like a fast food. It's like every time me and my husband go, I mean, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Even
and it's all processed.
Chinese.
Like you said.
Yeah. Take out Chinese is $10-15 for a combo meal now.
I know.
$6 for a little container full of food that,
Yeah.
That's why I like to look at the old ads with the old prices on them. I'm always like, look at that. I was like,
look at that.
It's $20.
Yeah.
For my son alone.
Every time I go to this Chinese buffet, I'm like, did the price go up another $1? Because it seems like every time I go in, I'm looking at the bill. I'm like,
yeah. Well, you go to the dollar store and it's not $1 anymore.
Yeah,
$1.25.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree's $1.25.
Right. You gotta change that sign. You know? Oh, gosh. Can we go back?
Yeah. No, right. Let's go back to the 80s for a second.
I know. Please. The movies, the music.
88, you're doing Freddy's Nightmares, which was a
show.
You know,
that was a blast.
Yeah, you did Freddy's Nightmares. That lasted. That actual show, I think, lasted from 88 to 90. So that rolls into the 90s. And then you played Barbara on season 1 of that on the Mother's Day episode.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was. You know, I watched it not too long ago. That's freaky. That was a freaky show.
Didn't you play 2 different parts on that? Too?
I did.
You had like 2 different.
Yeah. It was so fun though. The funnest part was when it was over and watching it. You know, because I was like, how are they going to pull this off?
Is that weird? Always watching the films afterwards or the shows after because you actually didn't go to the screening of Weird Science, right? You actually skipped out on that.
I did skip.
Yeah, you skipped on that. Mm-hmm. Is it weird seeing like when you see the finished product?
What?
Is it weird when you see the finished product? Like when you see Night of the Creeps actually when it's done, are you like, like wow, like because when you're there doing it all, do you realize what you're creating actually until you see it on the big screen?
I kind of do, but it's of course a lot better seeing it on the big screen, and I still get that wow feeling, when I see Night of the Creeps, because that's the one that they always play at conventions and stuff. And we're always, if it's a reunion, we go and we do a Q&A before it starts. And then we'll all sit back in the back and kind of, watch the intro because it's so cool. The way he did it, Fred. But, and then the little people. That was really cool.
I think it's funny when you watch Night of the Creeps, like you watch the Q&As, when you guys, when Spooky and stuff too, it's you can kind of, there's like a high school feel up there when you guys are all up there together.
Yeah.
It's not, there's like people are like, Jason's messing with somebody. You guys are you can kind of feel what you like on that screen, what you saw, you can actually see it carried out from the cast.
That is so, I love when people tell me that because I never knew that. We connected so quickly and became a family and like best friends immediately. And so that really, I love that it shows, and I think that's a huge part of why it worked or works so well,
And that flamethrower scene on that was kind of a mistake, right?
Well, I trained with the shotgun,
At a shooting range, right? You guys were doing this?
Yeah. I never had the flamethrower. But, so that came about. I'm in the prom dress and heels. Hey, this put a flamethrower on her. I'm like, okay. And Jason was just petrified because he thought I was going to accidentally hit him, with the flames. Like in the shed. I did not mean for it to go off.
Yeah,
in the
that's
shed.
what I heard.
Yeah, that was an accident. And it just worked so well, because Jason was really petrified. He thought, oh my God. So that's when let's give you the shotgun instead. I'll take the flamethrower.
And that flamethrower was heavy that you had. That was actually like a pretty heavy piece of equipment.
It was real. Yeah. It was very heavy. Very heavy. But I did it. And killed those zombies.
Zombies, yeah. So you did that, and then we'll go, and then I don't know. So these I'm not actually too familiar with. So I obviously the Swamp Thing I am familiar with in '92.
Oh yeah,
you did
I did that after I moved home.
Yeah, because you did what? '89, you did Baby Boom. '90
Yes,
Tribes.
Baby
65
Boom.
episodes.
What?
And then Tribes was you did a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
Was that like a musical?
A musical? No, it was it was on Fox. And FYI, we were shooting when Billy Idol had his motorcycle accident outside the studio. And we heard a big crash. I love Billy Idol too. We heard a big crash, and then all of a sudden, sirens and everything. And we heard it's Billy Idol. He just crashed on his motorcycle. We were like, what? Oh my God. Of course we had to keep filming. But yeah, that was crazy. And that we got a 2-year contract.
It was like a soap opera. I mean,
yeah,
like for kids, kids.
Yeah, it was on Fox, and it was a soap opera, and it was #1 in New York in its time slot because it came on at 7 p.m. And I think it didn't last. It got shut down after about 6 months. I think because it was just so depressing. There was pregnancy, drugs, divorce. And I was kind of like everyone's psychiatrist, everyone's therapist at the diner. And I just think it was too depressing for teens.
How long were the episodes?
They were half an hour.
Because it said there were 65 episodes.
Yeah, 65 episodes.
I know.
Like that.
There were a lot of episodes. But it got
5 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are you starting to get burnt out about? So I know '92. So you did the new Adam 12. What?
I never got burnt out.
No, was it the fam? Like you basically wanted a family. Like when you left, you moved back to Miami. What? '92.
Yeah, I moved back to Miami. I missed it, all the time, and I really wanted a family. I had been engaged twice in LA, and I just didn't find myself being very successful. I think I was more scared of not being successful in a marriage in that industry. Yeah. So I continued, I did Swamp Thing, and I did a bunch of
extra large. '93 was that?
Yeah, that was Italian. Yeah, I was 4 months pregnant in that show. And then I had a 3-year contract on HSN for modeling.
Oh, that's right. You were doing the HSN modeling.
Yeah. And then I just, quit.
And you got a real estate license too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, not too long ago. So I do real estate now. I love it. I love it. My husband's a realtor.
Yeah,
So
and congratulations, because you got married, what, a couple years ago only also?
5 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
So you did
God
well.
sent me a good one.
No,
And that's how I ended up in Melbourne.
is that?
Melbourne.
Yeah, we know those areas.
You know what? We're getting a Whole Foods.
Oh yeah, so St. Pete's stocked with that now. I just went back. We go back to St. Pete like every. So my wife is actually a child surgeon here. She's a little younger than me. Yeah, I'm the old man of the house. She's the brains of the house. I give her the total credit. So we go back to Florida every once in a while. We have a place there, like I said, and there's a whole. I mean, it's changed so much there because you lived in that area too.
4th Street Fourth Street North just doesn't look the same.
You should see it now after the hurricane.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't been back.
It is so beat up. We just left there last month again, and
really,
and I love St. Pete. Like I gotta say, I worked at. Do you remember the Garden downtown St. Pete?
Yeah.
I worked at the Garden for like 7 years. I was a waiter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over the old. That's the old. They actually tore that whole district down there.
Robbins was there.
Yeah, all those places are.
I know. It does not look like St. Pete anymore.
It's all high rises. It's turning into Miami, to be honest. A lot of it, they say.
I know. It is. Mega mansions and way too bad traffic.
Ed, what was I the whole time I was there? I couldn't believe the traffic.
I warned you.
Yeah,
I warned him before he got back. I was like, I'm angry every day. Driving in this town.
Yeah, we call him Angry Ed on the show, actually.
Traffic
reports
I sent him a screenshot the other day. I was coming across to Howard Franklin, right coming across by the airport, and it said, the bridge is shut down and you can't get off. Hour and 40 minutes just to get across the bridge. I got lucky because they're doing construction and there was a U-turn to get, like, I was able to get out to the back to northbound. But otherwise, an hour and 40 minutes I would have sat because they shut the bridge down for an accident. Yeah,
and there's no way to know until you get on it.
You're on the interstate even. I mean, there's traffic on the interstate at like 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. I mean,
I know.
There's too many people here. The pandemic brought everybody here.
Yeah.
Because we were the Wild West. We were wide open.
Yeah. I know.
St. Pete is totally Whole Foods now. All that stuff.
Yeah. I know. Well, I live in an area, it's very new, in the Melbourne area. It's when I got married, he lived on Cocoa Beach. And I was like,
Yeah, we played a show in Cocoa Beach and it was
yeah.
It was kind of.
I was like, I'll marry you, but we're moving. Yeah, it's very dirty now and just icky, very crowded all the time.
I was glad to get back to Europe. I have to be honest. Like, you don't realize that I was actually like, ask Ed. I was like, you know what? I was there for a month and some, and I was like, you know what? I don't mind going back overseas. Yeah,
I know.
And for my kids, it's so safe here for them.
Yeah, I know. My best friend she's going to Paris again next week. Her daughter moved there. She's, she went there when she was 19. She will never come back to the States. It's just people there are so laid back.
Appreciate. It's just weird to say that.
Appreciate life.
Yeah.
They appreciate good food, and like you said, nature. When I was filming in Spain, I was like, what do you mean it's closed? It's only 1:00 in the afternoon. Siesta does not end till 2. And there's people in the park siesting.
Yeah, it's completely. You ever see those things you'll see like in France, say France even or anything, you'll see like these people walk around. They'll just buy a loaf of bread with their wife and grab a bottle of wine and just go sit in the park. And I didn't know what this was. And then I moved to Europe. I said, yeah, this is what they really do. Like grab a hunk of cheese and some bread and go chill with your wife.
They do. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
it's about life, love, and not work. Work. You go there and it's like, does anybody work? But
not just that. Everybody's so high strung here.
I know.
Because you're always chasing, like Jill said earlier, you're always chasing. You're like that. It's like that wheel. Yeah. You're always trying to get to
chasing
that
your tail.
dollar bill.
Yes. But that's the momentum it's become, it just is what it is. And it's like, my best friend is actually looking for a house in Spain. She doesn't want to live here anymore. And it's like, don't leave me.
And that's why the 80s, we always say, I always say to my wife, because she's 10 years younger, I'm like, I missed it. She's like, I'm like, you don't understand. It was just a different world. I'm like,
it was.
Wow.
So,
we also didn't grow up in Florida. Like
we're Jersey guys.
I was in New Jersey till 85.
Yeah.
90s.
And now you couldn't pay me to move to New Jersey. You can throw a whole wad of cash and I would tell you no.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to New Jersey at the end of the month for a show.
Yeah. Well, going and leaving is.
I know. Well, my husband grew up in Syracuse area.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
And he just went back for a week and he's like, never again.
That's how I was when I went back there the last time. I said, man, it's just not the same. And they always say I worked on the Seaside board. I don't know if you know Seaside Heights at all. I worked on the boardwalk up there on the Jersey Shore and stuff. So
did you?
Yeah, like me and Ed were talking about, like, they were shooting Bon Jovi videos back in the 80s.
Yeah, I know.
It was like it was a different world.
So different.
Yeah, so
everything was different. I mean, in the 80s, everybody my age, I'm 61, and everybody my age is like, can't we just go back to the 80s? I'm like, yeah.
It's true. I mean, even though I was, like I said,
where's that damn time machine?
Yeah, it was less. And now everything, everything is cell phones and technology. Back then it was a little simple.
Privacy.
Movie theaters. People don't even go to movie theaters. I mean, they go, but I mean, it's not like, back then you went to movie theaters on the weekend.
I know. We need a good drive-through.
Yeah, they just tore down one in Tampa, I heard.
I was just going to say, don't they still have that one? No. And also one in Clearwater.
Yep.
The Tampa one's gone, I believe, now.
No, it's a giant apartment complex.
What?
We need more people, because we need more people.
Yeah, I know, right? We definitely do.
Yeah. It's Jill, I know we've taken like a lot of your time tonight. But
it's okay. It's been fun.
And one thing I have to ask you, did you get anything from the set of Night of the Creeps? Did there anything you kept, like the dress or anything you bought that you held on to?
I had a creep.
Which were little cars, right? They were saying, like, with wheels on them and stuff.
Yeah, but it disintegrated.
Oh.
Throughout the years. We moved and I had it in a box in the attic, and I opened it up and I'm like, where's my creep? And it was like a little raisin with a string. Because, they would, chase one.
I saw they were on I think it was the director's cut. They were showing how they pulled them through the grass on put them on cars and stuff. It was pretty cool.
It was so cool. But yeah, I had a creep. But I have a new creep. Somebody made me a creep. And it's in a little glass box. So I'm keeping that one. And I don't think it'll disintegrate. It's not made of the same material.
Yeah, back then they probably weren't thinking it was going to be some, you could probably sell those. If they had all those creeps, you could probably sell them on eBay.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Yes, we could.
Yeah. I can imagine.
For sure.
And anybody who wants to meet Jill, she will be at the Tampa Bay Screams HorrorCon January 19th at the OCC Roadhouse and Museum in Clearwater, Florida. It's not that bad of a drive for you then, since you're over in that area.
Oh, no. And I go all the time. I just haven't, my daughter doesn't live there anymore. And I was there, very shortly before the hurricanes. And she lived right next to her Catholic school in Snow Isle. So it was really fun going back, because we used to pick her up from school. It only went to 8th grade, so we would pick up her and my son on the boat. Great life in St. Pete. I lived there for 18 years. I loved it.
Yeah, I got to say I love St. Pete. I was very sad to see when those hurricanes came through there, and to see that I watched it from over here in Europe on the TV.
I'm not looking forward to seeing that, and I probably will, right?
Yeah, you'll definitely, even not even downtown, but up 4th Street. So it's, all the areas I'm talking about. I mean, it's just devastated. I mean, I couldn't. It was like seeing a movie.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah,
How bad?
things piled on the side of the roads. I mean, like it was. Ed saw it was brutal. I mean, they got it really bad. I mean, that was the worst. I mean, I know the area that I live in there. That was the first time it flooded in 65 years.
I know. Well, there goes my theory about the Indians.
Everyone's theory on the Indians.
I was told protected the St. Pete area. They put like a good spell, so to speak, a good curse.
Yeah,
you know who Dennis Phillips is?
That guy dug up that thing and he ruined it.
I saw that. Yeah, they dug up the Indian thing right before the storm. What was that, Ed? Yeah, I remember this. Someone dug up some of the things.
It was somewhere between Tampa and St. Pete.
And
people wanted to kill this guy. I don't know if he really did or not, but he said he did, and he did all this stuff. And I was like, people are like, you messed with it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Who knows?
Well, we knew we were screwed on that storm because, Jill, Dennis Phillips, the news guy?
Yes.
When Dennis Phillips looks like he's going to jump out the window during the storm, you're in trouble because that guy's the most positive newscaster
He's got the coffee mug. It says, what's rule number 7? If he's not freaking out, you're not freaking out.
You're good.
He was freaking out.
He's freaking out.
He was freaking out. So he was on.
Well, I was in Miami. I lived in Miami for Andrew. That was the scary, and I lived down south. And I stayed home, and we had a 3-story house, and I was, newly married, and it was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my whole entire life.
A lot of people who stay through those storms, the real ass-kicking storms, always tell you to I stayed, but I'll never do it again.
I will never do it again. I won't. And that's, that's what scared me about LA, because earthquakes are ridiculous, and they usually
guarantee pretty much one day
when you're sleeping, like at 2 a.m, and you're just like.
So you experienced a few of those when you were there?
I did. Oh yeah, and they're scary. They're really scary because you don't know if it's like the big one, Yep. And there's so much in California, like the slide, and Malibu, and I would never live there because half the time you have to walk home. You have to park and walk because half the mountain's on the street on PCH. But I mean, it's and there's no warning with a earthquake. You've got days upon days warning.
Yeah, hurricane, you kind of know it's coming, and I mean, the earthquake, you said earthquake.
Earthquakes and tornadoes, they come up on you and you don't even know.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. That was really weird. All those humongous tornadoes.
That's what killed all those. At first, that was the killer.
I know.
That was the killer at first.
I know. But we're here. We're alive.
And hopefully next year is a better storm season because,
Yeah, it was a busy one.
Yeah, definitely was the most active that I've ever seen or been part of. So.
Yeah. Yeah. For these areas anyway, for the middle part.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, but now nothing, like we talked about the fires earlier. There's always something now, like even Yeah, it's just always it's just crazy, and every time it's, like I said, it seems like there's like a 2-month cycle. It's always moving on to some other chaos, no matter what it is.
Oh, I know. I was watching the news the other night. Maybe it was last night or the night before, and the first case death of a human with bird flu.
Yeah, I saw this too. That
Yep.
are eating eggs bad? They said, but
And I'm like,
food from eggs.
No, not another COVID. Come on.
Yeah.
You just never know. And then everyone freaks out and they put masks on and they don't go anywhere.
Well, everybody's been getting sick for I know there's so
that
many people,
norovirus, right? It's called
like
now?
just going crazy here with sickness. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. I had it. Everyone in my house had it. It was awful. And then I gave it to my 93-year-old mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's always that's the thing is, that's the problem is like we had COVID when we got COVID from the States actually when we went there. We avoided it for like 2 years, got to Florida and got it. Yeah, I think I had it 3 times too, actually. I was telling Ed that. But my wife's grandmother's in her 90s. And like that's the problem is you go to these events, you don't know who has what. You're always worried about the older person there.
Airports. You're coming through airports,
I came home with COVID on my last convention.
Yeah, because you guys shaking hands and
yep.
pictures and stuff. And
I know, but it's not what it was. I mean,
no. Now you get it, and you don't even. To be honest with you, I think we had it a couple months ago, and I said to my wife, "I go, should we get COVID tests, or we just lay here and suffer?"
Nothing, because that's all they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's not gonna mean anything. They say if you got it or not, it don't really matter. You're pretty much the same symptom. You're just gonna suffer. So
yeah, I gave my mom COVID as well. I know, that was very scary. I took her immediately to the emergency room for that IV thing because she qualified, and she did amazing with it.
Yeah,
I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah, the monoclonal antibodies. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
I qualified too, and then I was driving down there, and I was like, you know what? I saw the line, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ride this out. Because people were trying to get in, and you couldn't even park because you had to pull a number. They gave you a number that you had to bring, and people were trying to, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ride this out, and I did. I wasn't even sick. I was more brain dead than anything. I didn't have no sickness. I couldn't formulate a thought. Like I was.
I couldn't either, and I could not open my eyes because of the light.
Yep, 3 days, and then all of a sudden, it was done. I was like, it was done.
Yeah,
it was the strangest thing I've ever been through.
I know.
25, we stay a little healthier, all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even get my mom vaccinated anymore because
it
doesn't work.
That's just exactly. You're going to get it, and it just seems like pretty much one way or the other.
She's
you're
probably not
something.
going out in public anyway, so it don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Jill,
yes.
Again, we really
it was so fun.
And we hope that when you go to, you're doing Tampa Bay Screams, that you don't get SARS or coronavirus or a bird flu or the noro or the plague, whatever's coming around this.
Hurricane season over?
Yeah, it's over for now. So you got a couple more months you can enjoy Florida before we all, have look to the news.
Yeah. I'll just stay in my car and then I'll stay at the convention and I won't go anywhere.
Walk in with like a beekeeper suit on so nobody touches you.
Exactly. Oh gosh.
And you're always welcome to come back on, Joe. Hopefully we can, maybe during Halloween we'll get you to come back on. We really
I'd love to. Yes. And I'm sorry that I had to change the time on you.
No, it's fine. Good. We always, we kind of like, so I'll be up. So it's right now it's 4 a.m. here. So I'll be taking my kids to school in 2 hours. And Ed's like, we're always in different time zones. So like we have an interview next week where Ed's going to be up at 5:30 in the morning. So we kind of have to rotate to like,
exactly.
Kind of move it around.
Fair, right?
Yes. So we make it work.
I don't have to pay for it like that very often. So I'll eat one in a while. So
for me, it's always odd time.
I'm not at the gym anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But anybody who wants to meet Jill, like we said, she'll be at Tampa Bay Screams HorrorCon. And Jill, is there anything going on now that you have going on that you want to talk about? Or you have like anything? Obviously, you're pretty much doing the conventions now, so that's where people can meet you and get some.
I am doing the
stuff signed.
conventions, but 2 years ago, I did a short film called Freddy No More, and lo and behold, I filmed it in New Jersey, and I played Cynthia Cronenberg, the psychiatrist. Yeah. Actually, it's now Cynthia Cameron because, yeah, I married him, Jason. Not in real life. And he just had a baby in real life. Amazingly. Yeah. His wife, or his girlfriend is a little bit younger, but oh my God, the baby is so beautiful. And he's a new dad. So congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah.
He was so happy. I think she was about 2 weeks, a couple weeks old when he had to go to the convention. He's like, I want to go home. I miss her. But
He's
beautiful.
awesome too. I mean, when I met, he is one of the nice. I mean,
he's so fun.
Such a nice
guy. Yeah, he is. Yeah. He is so sociable, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just down to earth. I remember they had you probably remember this. They had the VIP party afterwards over at Spooky.
Oh,
like that.
He loves those.
Yeah, just a good dude. And
he is. He's so much fun, and he's so nice, and just really inviting personality. All around, just cool guy. They all are. I love them.
That's what's great about the cast, and
I know.
I said, a movie that has really become a classic. I mean, it's
yes. Well, I hope that you both make it to another convention.
Well, I definitely will when I'm back in town. And Ed's going to be. You'll probably see Ed actually. He'll be out there next weekend, which is.
Oh, awesome! I was wondering if you would be.
Yep, going to take the family. They've never been to one, so I figured.
Really?
He dresses up and everything. Got a whole costume.
I do.
Oh gosh, am I going to recognize you?
I'm going to dress up like the DJ that your makeup artist got.
Sasha's he wants to meet Sasha. So,
that's cute. Well, I look forward to seeing you, Ed, and meeting your family.
Yep, they're actually kind of excited, so it should be fun.
Good. Hey. All right.
Jill, again, man, we appreciate everything. We appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll talk to you when we sign off here. We'll say goodbye to you. And yeah, anything else you want to say? Anybody? Obviously, see you Sunday. Whoever's going to come out to the Tampa Bay Screams.
Thank you, for all my fans and everything. Because without you, I wouldn't be here right now.
And Jill, you don't age. I gotta say it. It is. Yeah. I mean, Jill, I have to say, and Ed will admit, you do not age. I don't know what the hell. I mean, we've had some older. We have some people on here who are guests of actors and actresses, but I don't think. I mean, it's crazy. So.
Oh. Well, I liked you before, but now I love you.
There you go. So,
thank you.
No
You're so sweet.
I'll let my wife hear this episode. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say anything. No, I didn't say anything.
I was asking about Sasha, but
exactly.
I know, right? Who's Sasha? Actually, my mom fell in love with him, but he liked boys. She had a little bit too much of the Jägermeister.
Yeah.
The Jaeger. Oh, the Jaeger. Oh. Even that and the Goldschlager. Jill, we'll take a body on the way out again. Thank you for everything. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight and talking about
so much. It was wonderful.
And we'll say goodbye to you in a minute. Everybody else, we're going to play a song on the way out of here. We're going to play Lowbrow, the song Maniac from 2001. And Jill, again, you have a great night.
You do the same. I'll see you, Ed.
Thank you. You will.
Everybody else, this is Lowbrow. Be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track.
Another flood. Film is life, a tool to be used. Let the paper news. You've been called and to know. time. Falling line, drive on in nowhere path. Maniac, human moments to throw away. Social regression, moral decay. Anticipated by dying day. Bring it down, I hope and pray.
And that was Lowbrow from Brandon, Florida, with the song Maniac off the album Sex, Violence, and Death from 2001. Alan West, Ben Meyer, Rich Hornberger, Curtis Beeson, the late Curtis Beeson, and the late Richard Bateman on bass. Ed, great interview with Jill. Just an awesome guest.
Yes. Yeah. Just so laid back. She's really cool, man. I don't chime in a lot sometimes, but I did know a little bit of her history, from her movies, and it was very fun. It's always fun to hear you pull stuff out of people that they forget or they don't know or they, or whatever, it's always, I always get a giggle out of that because it just shows the amount of work we put into these interviews. So yeah, no, she was fun.
I didn't know she was a St. Pete resident for so long when I was living there. That was something that I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, and she's back in Florida now.
Wow.
It's learned a lot. I think people will, if they, it's not music, but I think if they actually stick around and listen, they'll enjoy the interview because it was there were we pulled a lot of Easter eggs out of her,
and she's worked with some great actors, some great people, I mean, whether it's, Sam Elliott, just names that you haven't thought of in a long time, and we brought up Eric Stoltz, from obviously Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Pulp Fiction.
George
if you
Clooney.
remember George Clooney, she dated George Clooney. I had no idea about that. But you talk about Eric, I don't know if you know this, but Eric, when, obviously he played Rocky Dennis and Mask and all that stuff, but you know that he was actually the guy, he was in Back to the Future, and they pulled him and put Michael J. Fox in. Yeah, because he was, I guess there was a problem on set.
I actually saw there's a video on YouTube, unless they pulled it, of him doing the casting for it.
Oh. Well, he got canned, and that's how Michael J. Fox got in.
Not going to lie, I think they made the right choice because I think Michael J. Fox was the perfect Marty McFly.
No, definitely. But yeah, that was a weird thing too. I forgot to bring that up with her. But when, we were talking about him, I was like, oh, that's right. He was supposed to be in Back to the Future. But, like you said, just a She was a great guest. A lot of fun to have on. It was great just to sit there and hang out and bullshit with her, and hear a lot of flashbacks from the past, because me and you are, we're not spring chickens. And I mean, anybody who's our age bracket who listens to the show, there's a lot of stuff that they're going to be like, oh yeah, like we talked about shows that you would never talk about on a fucking metal show usually, like Silver Spoons or Growing Pains.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but unfortunately, that's what we grew up. That was on TV.
Yeah,
and she was part of it, so it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Fucking Airwolf. I mean, when's the last time you know T.J. Hooker?
Yeah, I know. T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
William Shatner.
William Shatner. Yeah. Some of those stories were great, though. Then we had Andy on from, who's a friend of the show now from Tampa Bay Screams. Very cool to have him involved. I really think it's cool what he's doing. He's like, it's underground, man. He's doing the underground con circuit.
Yep. He's, and, we owe him a debt of gratitude for getting us to Alan Hallworth.
He got us Alan and Jill.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank you to Andy for that. And it's always good to talk to him because, his perspective on how he's running the cons is pretty cool, and the venue, I didn't know that it was like a restaurant kind of atmosphere this time around. I didn't know that. So that'll be cool. When I take the family, I'm sure it's going to cost me $2,000. So thanks, Andy.
Well, and when does my fucking internet having these issues? Like we have, I've had pretty flawless internet, unless for the last two shows. We had problems when Alan was on, right? We had for a moment, and then
for a minute,
when we first started the show, I had some issues. I remember we had Vincent Crowley from Asheron on, and everything crashed.
Fucking did a half hour, and it fucking was in the wind.
Yeah, it was like down the pisser with that. But I felt bad because when we were interviewing Andy, I had some internet issues. I don't ever have Indian interview issues, but it is snowing outside and it is pretty nasty outside. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I do apologize for that.
Could be the fact that we're going on over 3 hours. Your internet's screaming at you to get off the fucking internet. So
yeah, it's saying it's time to end. We had a couple of guests on tonight, and like I said, Jill Whitlow, awesome guest. Andy, always appreciate you coming on. Everyone, make sure they go to TampaBayScreams.com. And Ed, I think we're gonna cut the ending short today because it's been a long episode. We have, like I said, we got some other stuff we're working on for next week. We've had a lot of if you haven't noticed anybody, there's been a couple episodes that just kind of popped up that we didn't announce because we weren't 100% sure. Like Jill Whitlow was kind of like a last minute addition. Alan Howarth was a kind of a last minute addition, right?
Both of them, yep.
Yeah, so we had that.
We just moved an interview to February. So
yeah, KO from Rotten Sound won't come on until February.
Kind of juggling around here.
Yeah, that's how it's. It's not it's definitely it's definitely behind the scenes. There's a lot of shit always going on. To put out 73 episodes. Like I said, it's not like we're doing 10-minute episodes. These are like we got a lot of shit going on. So there's always a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So, anybody who hasn't listened to our show, you can always go back and listen to many episodes, just a few. I'm not going to name them all because we did that a couple weeks ago and it took a while. But, you got Pat from Hell, which was on. You have Vincent Crowley from Asheron, because Asheron's back now, the Vincent Crowley Band. Bobby Gustafson from Overkill we've had on. David Howard Thornton played Art the Clown and Terrifier. We had Lord Aramon from Dark Funeral, Chris Reifert from Autopsy. Blaine Cook from The Accused. What else, Ed? We had David Austin from Nasty Savage. John Gallagher from Raven.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. Count Gore Duvall, Creature Feature, who will be at Tampa Bay Screams, and a legend.
Absolute legend.
Yeah, Carl Kennedy from The Rods.
All you got to do is go ahead and pop on Spotify, Apple, anywhere your podcasts are going, or YouTube, and the list from the first show to number 73 when this hits the shelves, you'll see everybody and you'll see how long they are, and you'll know that these are in-depth, real, front to back, start to finish of somebody's career interviews. That's what we do. That's how we do it. We're not a ham and egger. We don't care what you like on your pizza. I don't care. I mean, if you want to tell me, that's fine. But I'm more interested in the history of the person and what got them to the dance. That's to me, that's the most interesting thing. And I don't want to bring it up because it's just disrespectful, but we were talking about an interviewer that did an interview with Jill and what he asked her. And
some of the questions get a little odd, man.
It was absolutely filth and disrespectful to a lady like that. And I'm thinking, how could you consciously think like, I'm going to ask her this and that's cool? It's not.
Well, I
it
think
wasn't
people
cool.
don't. I think people. I don't know. For me, it's like. I mean, there's even questions like, and it's a known. So this is a known thing. Like, obviously, Night of the Creeps. There's a scene there, a topless scene, and that was by her choice. But I didn't even bring that up because to me, it's like there's certain. I don't know. There's a certain. We had so much stuff to talk to her about that wasn't.
We didn't
one
need
of
to
the
be
things we had
disrespectful,
to.
and we didn't need to enter into realms that were stupid. So
we talked about a lot of stuff with Jill. I got to say, man, she was awesome.
She was great. She was. That was a very fun interview, and be cool to see her next week.
Yeah, well, yeah, Ed will be out there. We'll have another show coming up this week, and who knows, we may have a guest, we may not. We just don't. Right now, we got like a bunch of stuff in the background going on, and we'll figure it out as we go. But you can always check us out. Where, Ed?
Amazon, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. YouTube. thetampamorgue at gmail.com if you want to email. And Instagram. And
send us your releases because we've been getting a lot of those, man.
I'm thinking early if I can get there at noon-ish because I don't want it to be too late for you. But if I could do it between 12 and 3, because that's 7 to 10 o'clock your time, we could probably pop on and do an Instagram live, like while I'm near Count Duvall or near Jill or Alan, and just walk around and kind of show people the fest.
And that's one thing we have talked about doing also on the show is we're trying to figure it out. We talked about maybe doing a live YouTube show or once a week. We're not really interested in putting interviews on YouTube and stuff like that. I know. But
sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about some stuff, trying to figure it out. It's always, that's one thing about this show. It's always evolving. It's always like in progress of building something different and trying to, but we've been around for this is our, like I said, 73rd episode. So we appreciate everybody who listens, and you could definitely send us your news and your releases. We've been getting a lot of the releases and stuff, and I'm going to try to pronounce all the crazy titles right and stuff like that. But we always accept that kind of stuff. You can send us some music. I know we have, I actually received, which I'm going to play the next episode. Tunnel of Sets sent us some stuff from Florida. They're a black metal band out of there. So we're going to, every week it changes up a little bit. So we appreciate everybody who listens. Ed, I'm going to talk to you again this week. Obviously we'll, be back on, and everybody else, you can email us at thetampamorgue at gmail.com. Instagram is probably one of the better places to contact us. Plus you can use that email. And anything else on your way out, Ed?
Nope. I'm good, man. It was a great interview, late night. Time to relax. It's real late for you. It's what, 4:30 in the morning?
So, it's always, it's always, it's definitely the sun is coming up, and the snow is falling. But we'll have King Fowley take us out of here. And I'll tell you what, anybody who hasn't heard the King Fowley episode, if you got 5 hours to spare, you're going to hear some crazy fucking stories. But we love King Fowley. So if you haven't heard that episode, definitely go back. You're going to learn everything you need to know about Deceased and even more. But Ed, have a good week, man. We'll be back next week on the Tampa Morgue. Thank you again, Andrew Lalino and Jill Whitlow. Everybody else, go see Tampa Screams next weekend, the convention, tampascreams.com. And we'll be back next week.
See ya.
This is King Fowley from Deceased, and you just listened to another episode of the Tampa Morgue. Tune in next week and stay fucking dead.